Gundam 00. After 00. After 00, you get
Isn't there the Blood Orphans in there?
Iron-Blooded Orphans, yeah. After Iron-Blooded Orphans in release order, then you have this one, if I.
So basically, I just wanted a good starting point with decent fights, and I like the politics in the background.
I think
Gundam Wing.
that's fine for this. Like, to be honest.
I would
So
say Gundam Wing. Slice.
Yeah, he showed me episode 0 and left because episode 0 had different vibes than the school. So I was like, oh, there we go.
So the problem with everything else
say that.
is that aside from this one, G-Quux has 12 episodes, and I do not recommend G-Quux because it's weird as hell. And then after and then basically everything other than that is at least 50 episodes.
Which is fine. I can go back and watch the 80s one. I've watched through Robotech and enjoyed Robotech.
I think if you're looking for something that's just stupid fun, go for G Gundam.
G Gundam.
Perfect.
If you want a little bit more politics, Wing is probably my recommendation.
I like Wing.
And Wing is self-isolated. Nothing else touches Wing.
Wing, and there was an OVA, Endless Waltz, and then whatever. I don't know if they ever came out anything. But Wing is its own.
Also watch the,
you don't need any other series to understand Wing. It's kind of like Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Wing is
so there's like never a point where a character from a prior series is mentioned, like the hero of blank is mentioned. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, that's not terrible then.
Yeah.
The problem is Andre is a UC purist and has never watched anything except Universal Century. We would have to bring him in here to discuss it. But yeah, if you want to ask anything about Universal Century, he's your absolute authority. But other than Universal Century, good luck.
Yeah.
It'll probably get better with like
lesbians at a school full of little shit children so far.
There are 27 series in the Universal Century.
What?
There is more in the Universal Century than every other one's combined.
Yep.
All right. Well, Lotto season's coming up, so that'd probably be a good time to start OG.
Wait, but couldn't we also recommend him the 3 movie versions of the OG Gundam? Like
Like
it's the
Origin?
same content. It's just condensed into like OG Gundam.
I honestly don't think that's ever a good thing, especially after watching the Code Geass movies. Like, you lose too much trying to condense. So, alright, thank you.
Hey guys. Yes, they were talking about Gundam. Prophet was just getting started watching some Gundam stuff, and he was asking for advice as to like where should you begin and such. And I guess Trub started him on Witch of the Mercury, which all I was trying to tell him was that while Witch of the Mercury is very good, it is not like other Gundams because it is very slice of life. So it has a little bit of a different feel to it than say some of the other ones. But honestly, like, you can start just about anywhere in Gundam. Gundam is very easy to pick up as long as you like, robots and politics. And not real politics, chat, like space politics, space fantasy politics. Witch of the Mercury is a weird start. Yeah, it's funny because I was telling him, like, the episode 0 has more action than, like, the first 6 episodes of Witch of the Mercury combined. So it's like, it's a completely different tone, almost, than the original. Release order? Yeah, release order undefeated. It's very difficult to ever beat the release order because it helps you understand the fandom. I'm doing pretty good, Spartan. Okay, chat, I did just get the go live tweet with the stream. Do me the favor, go give that some love. I still have not rebooted my computer. I'm sorry. I meant to do that earlier today, but I had stuff going on at lunch. There was a snake in the backyard, and I had to run my my sprinklers because I was just forgetting to do it, and they haven't been running at night. So it's just been one thing after another. Okay. Let me make sure we are good to go over here. I believe so. Washoo. UC watch order is pretty easy. Yeah, I mean, like, you could definitely go in, like, terms of timeline order. However, going in terms of timeline order will, like, whiplash you, because you'll be, like, going from, Hawthorne and stuff that's, like, really new, and then, like, to the original, like, 1979 Gundam. So it's like, like, you could do it. I'm not going to say that there's a problem in terms of, like, continuancy. There's just a problem in terms of quality. Hathaway, yeah, sorry. I could not remember the name of it. Got back from Predator Badlands. How'd you like it? I heard Predator Badlands from our movie theater as we went to watch The Boy and the Heron on Sunday there, and it was kind of funny that, like, I kept hearing the, like, like through the wall, and I'm like, oh my god, what is going on over there? Like, you couldn't actually hear the movie in any way, but... Oh god, what is this horrible thing at the top of my Chrome browser? Gemini? Why does it emanate an aura of pure evil? Because it's AI. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think Chrome is in its last, like, 2 years of relevancy. I think Chrome is enshittifying itself so much that it is basically gonna go the way of the dodo, as they're gonna make a big mistake, it's gonna piss people off, and everyone's just gonna switch. I managed to beat the PG-13 curse. It's tightly done and very fun. Good. Honestly, you don't have to have things be, like, rated R just for something to be entertaining. How'd you like Boy and the Heron? Boy and the Heron was really good. It was very much, like, still in the same style as a lot of other Miyazaki films that I've seen now. But it definitely is a little bit more esoteric in, like, terms of its interpretation and its ending. It is a almost open to interpretation ending. In that regard, I did not like that, but I do kind of agree, because my girlfriend was saying, like, you'd have to watch it a second time, and I think she's kind of right, that, like, there were certain things where only after we had, like, moved on and were doing other things after the movie that, like, I started thinking about it, and I was like, oh, maybe this is what, like... So it's stuff that you didn't realize in the moment having watched it. It's still a good movie, but definitely a little bit more like open-ended than the other ones. G Quux. General, thank you for the sub. Appreciate my man. Thank you for the 75. Hope everybody is doing good today. Welcome to Monday. I am tired as shit. You can't tell it because I am dosed up on caffeine right now, but I got back at like 1 in the morning last night, so I am just exhausted at this point. But my weekend was good. I hope chat's weekend was as well. Let's see. You guys got to see me. Yeah, if you guys stopped by when I was streaming Conan on Saturday, just chilling out and relaxing, you got to see me. I did manage to finish up in the meantime magic, so I can now start building my teleporters, which is definitely the hardest part of leveling magic in any way. Let's see. How do I want to start on JP? Let's go ahead and just do one run. By the way, chat, if you guys have a more efficient clear than this, let me know. This is just how I've been doing it. Come in here, try to find a Tiamat. That's not a grand Tiamat. Still not a grand Tiamat. Just take 2 DPS. Do you want rain? Like, is this a philosophical question? Is this a, like, would I like it to rain in Florida? How many Urail lovers there are? And there's a lot. I do also find it funny that for how much, I think it was shit, what's the for App Media's polling and stuff that they did, I found it very hilarious to see like just how many of like certain grands there are. Like, for instance, there's a ton of Squirtoria grands, even though Squirtoria did not appear on the list of like any of the top grands. So it is what it is. Do you like rain in Florida? Yeah. I mean, assuming it's not coming from an oceanic death spiral, yes. There was just a grand Tiamam. Yeah, I'm generally looking for a grand with pretty good like stuff equipped. But yeah, chat, I am basically just two-turning this and just not giving a rat's ass. It definitely isn't fast, but it's getting the job done. Supposedly Suki slaps. Yeah, my understanding is if you take somebody that is man traded for, or sorry, man attributed for the damage dealer, that it really just messes with Gil. Which I'm just gonna say at the end of the day, it's like it's kind of stupid that they apply an arbitrary thing like that, because that means that like 1/3 of the archers do good, the other 2/3 do not. I mean, again, I'm making it work with an NP5, so it is what it is. Has Florida ever had a drought? Yes, many times. And it sucks anytime it happens. Using double Squirtoria in my own Tiamat? Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do something like that. Boom. What are we listening to, chat? Okay. I find it funny how Gil is the easiest. In that regard, yeah. Gil is just very straightforward, which I think maybe the devs are at the point where they don't want to make this too hard, both on themselves, but also on, like, the community. And for further evidence of this, chat, let's go into our first topic of the night, which is the JP schedule. So they did kind of clarify, I was talking with Avalon about it earlier today, that basically just so that you guys understand, hold on, let me open this up. So this is the prologue to basically the final chapter. This is where you are. You are here. This is the Archer duel. This is the Caster duel. And this is the epilogue. Sorry, not the epilogue, but the actual like final chapter. Okay? Call this final. You are not required to do this, or this to do the final chapter. Right now, as long as you have done Ordeal Call 4, you can do the final chapter. The prologue and the Grand Caster duel are not required, which is kind of like wild when you think about that. I'm not sure what to think of that, other than this might imply that this, because I know Avalon was talking and he was saying like, oh, it's certainly not an event then. And I'm like, it might still be, but it might be in the sense that it's like almost like the Nemo event, where it's like it was kind of just a story event with no actual like shop or anything like that, because it does seem like it's all just narrative driven, but it looks like they are just trying to keep the final singularity as free of obstruction as possible. So it's not surprising to me that they maybe have made the Archer Grand Duel a little bit easier. I won't be surprised if it's the same way with the Caster one. I think they're just trying to say like, look guys, it's the end of the year, get the shit done, like let's go. So for all intents and purposes, JP may have already had and completed its final event of the year. If this is truly a like watered down thing and not an actual event, it is what it is, because we don't know what the prologue is supposed to be. It might just be all story. It might be a story event like the Nemo thing, like we were talking about. Who knows? Either way, it doesn't look like there's going to be much here, because if there weren't, why is it only required for this and not this? Why not the prologue? I don't know. And it's weird that the prologue is not required. I can understand not requiring the grand duels. I don't get why you wouldn't require the prologue, other than they just want as many people as possible to complete the final chapter. I think they are trying to just remove any barrier to that, any excuse that someone could have to not be able to complete it, and say, look, you can do it. So honestly, I kind of agree. It's kind of nice. I actually prefer a system where there are less barriers at this point, because for you guys to be ready to do the final chapter on JP, you have to have gotten to the point where this was already like, you've already gone through so much. You've gone through all of part 1. You've gone through all of part 2, including LB7. You've gone through all 4 ordeal calls, and now this. And actually, I say all 4 ordeal calls. I'm not even sure 3 is a requirement. So maybe it's just 3 ordeal calls. It is what it is. I think, like, having already gone through as much as we have, do they need to attach more requirements? No, I think that's bad for the game at this point. Watch Caster constantly buff themselves and debuff you. That'd be really interesting if Caster didn't have like a direct method of killing you, and instead it like killed you with like dots and stuff. You have to clear Dubai AI to get Ordeal Call 4. I didn't think you did. And hello, Katana. But yeah, I do agree. I think they want Nasu to continue writing. I think they are doing everything in their power to make sure that that happens, that the game continues. And if you want to think about it as to why, Asastra, thank you for the 10 months. Appreciate it. Keep in mind that the devs' jobs are kind of on the line here. I'm sure people would be quick to say like, oh, well, if FGO stopped getting actively developed, the developers would just be shifted on to other things. Yes and no. Some of them would be. Most of them probably wouldn't, particularly if their expertise was not something that was needed. So at the end of the day, I have to look at this and say that it's probably the case that the devs are kind of a little bit fighting for their jobs. It is a, let's continue the game, let's continue the cash cow, so that we can absolutely do more with this. It is interesting because I just read something the other day about, or actually it was earlier today. Apparently Yoshi P has now made an announcement as of like today or yesterday or whatever that they're going to be reinvigorating Final Fantasy XIV almost like the first time they did it after they had to like completely reboot the game. That they are going to, in effect, modernize Final Fantasy XIV again, which could be really good. But I'm happy to see that the devs have now realized that they can't really milk it anymore and that they have hit a point of stagnation and that they need to do something about it. So to me, good. I think that's a good thing. I'm sure there's some people that are like, no, don't change it, leave it the way it is. I get that for the nostalgic purpose, but I'm also going to say there's a point where it's just not fun if you can't move forward ever. And there's always the possibility that if you look back at things like, say, WoW, you could always release like a classic form of things if you wanted, because people just didn't like the new stuff that you did. So to me, it's a good idea to try and push the boundaries and get the game working better. I would hope that at some point FGO does a similar thing. I think they'd be idiots not to do so. That the game definitely still has legs. It definitely still makes a ton of money. How would you like just never touch it over time and try to make it better? It's kind of asinine to do so. It'd be throwing away a good thing. Did I just level up? Oh shit. FGO engine is not widely used, I think. No, it's not the engine. The engine is Unity, which, fun fact, even some of the other gacha games use. Like, I think, is it Wuwa runs on Unity, for instance? So it is what it is. Like, it's usually not going to be the engine. I think the bigger issue for them is, like, the animation and stuff involving sprites, because sprites are not a commonly used thing. And at least when they are, it's usually very chibified sprites, so there's not a whole lot of like actual animating they have to do. They just have to make like arms wiggle back and forth and legs like slightly tilt. As opposed to with this, there is so much animation going on here just for a fucking idle pose. So it's like, at the end of the day, yeah, I think that's the very select skill set that FGO has. Was Unreal Engine, I think? Maybe it is. There's definitely one of the bigger ones I know that still uses Unity. Because I remembered hearing about it the other day. I was like, wow, I am surprised. But it really just is what it is. It's going to be one of those things where at the end of the day, people are going to sit there and try to like blame the engine. But actually, FGO's engine has been perpetually updated. Like, I already talked about this the other day, but it's like there is good signs for the future of FGO because the developers are still updating the game, including the engine update that we just had last month on JP. So if you think about this, chat, if FGO is going to like cease development in the future, why the hell would they update the engine? They'd have no reason to. They don't care. They would just say, it is what it is. This is our build. We're sticking to it. So this tells you that they're still going to try and keep updating things. We've also seen on the narrative side of things that the developers are actually like putting in certain like strands of like info and stuff. They're introducing characters. They're kind of actually setting some building blocks up for the future. That's good as well. Seeing that gives me hope. It definitely tells me that the devs are not done and they're going to do more. I think the only big concern is what form will the game take after the turn of the year, and how involved will Nasu be in its future. All Hoyo games are Unity. Thank you. That's maybe what I was thinking of, was like Genshin and stuff. PGR is Unity. Okay. So yeah, so like I said, it's not that like Unity is some like bad engine or anything. And I'll be honest, chat, let's be real here for a second. If anything, while Unreal Engine does have some pretty insane capability, Unreal Engine also has some pretty insane problems with it too. So that's been one of the major issues over the past like year and a half here, has been the optimization of Unreal Engine, and it's not a good thing. What's up, Ice? Infield is Unity, Ananta is Unity. Yeah, so again, I'm going to say it's like Unity itself is not the problem. Maybe what we're doing with Unity that is. Which a little bit, it's kind of cool that you can see the level of game that FGO is versus like these more 3D open world style of games, and see the disparity in like how the like game is built, and understand that that's just the breadth of what like Unity Engine can do. So it's definitely still got a lot of capability under the hood. What up, Kag? FGO needs permanent modes to play during dead weeks. I don't mind as long as there's no like reward attached to it. I think if you try to put in permanent stuff and you put a reward for doing the permanent stuff ad nauseum, then it may as well be saying that it is required stuff instead of like dead time stuff. And I do think one of the healthiest things about FGO is that it actually does give you the opportunity to take a break from it and just not play it constantly. Kat, are you going to watch the live stream? Sorry, for what? Wait, is there a live stream today? Or you mean Guda Guda? Wait, Guda Guda is tomorrow, right? Unless I'm misremembering. No, on the 19th. Wednesday, so you'll miss it. Then... Sorry, chat. It's nothing I can do about it, guys. I'm sorry. That sort of thing just is what it is. I don't like it. I don't think it should be a thing that they just keep hammering Wednesdays specifically, but it is the cycle that the devs are on, and there's nothing I can do about it. So my apologies for not being a better content creator for you guys. But I do already have the Guda Guda guide out. You guys can go check that out. And I will be live for you guys at least on Thursday. So there is that. Farm Yamatai forever and ever, and right. And that's my point. Is like, I don't think it's a good system to have. Like, it's one thing to have optional content that people can do, but optional content ceases to be optional when you attach rewards to it. Like, you could still call it optional, but that's a semantical argument, and most people are going to treat it as not. They're going to say, oh, there's a reward, so therefore I gain benefit from just perpetually doing this. In the meantime, chat, I think we'll check tomorrow to see if there's still more I got to do over here. It looks like there's Hellfires of Wisdom and stuff, so I will probably still have to do some grinding on that side. But let's go ahead, make all of my blapples, and head on over to JP. Since JP, we have a lot to do tonight. And just to give you guys an idea of where I currently sit, I've cleared the final thing 16 times. I believe there's another 3 days worth of grind time. I'm not super far in this. Just shy. Oh, wait, no, actually, hold on. Let's just go do more. I need to... I forgot the way this works. So right now, currently on JP chat, every single strengthening and main interlude is available. They're all unlocked for everybody, and they all cost 0 AP. So there's no reason not to spend your AP right now. Go do some. Yeah, it's free Saint Courts, free preparation for units that you haven't rolled. It's really nice. It is one of the best things the game has ever done in that regard. I was telling this to Avalon earlier, but it's like, I really just don't understand why, when they came out with the system that was like, hey, let's make interludes and strengthenings available for characters that you haven't had access to, like, why they didn't just do exactly this and just make them all available. Like, you don't have to make them all 0 AP, but like, why not just make them all available? I always, like, ever since they first announced that, I was like, yeah, it's kind of dumb that they are restricted. Like, it's like they were so close to having the right idea, they should have just done it. Sorry, Ahado, this is just really low. So I'm going to skip it. Where's all my rank ups available in the game? What do you mean? I just wish all interludes rewarded Sancourts. Yes, I'm greedy. In a roundabout way, they do. What am I doing for Thanksgiving? This year's kind of weird because there was a little bit of a spat in the family over some plans that got made without knowledge of other people. So this current year on Thanksgiving proper, I will probably just be streaming with you guys because I will not be celebrating Thanksgiving with the family. I will eventually get to celebrate with my parents, but not until like the following Sunday. So it is what it is. When this comes to NA, I'll have everything done since I'll have rolled all the units. Yeah. This song is so timeless. I'm doing good, Arch. How are you doing? And a charity cult? What the heck is a charity cult? It's not Thanksgiving if there's no side of family drama. Usually our family's pretty good and there's very little drama. This year, I'll be honest, part of it's on me, part of it's on like my siblings. It just is what it is. I love them. It's like we've worked through it. There's no actual problem now, but I don't think this sort of thing will happen again. Why don't you play something special that day? I might. We'll see. I started Conan yesterday and I'm liking it so far. Nice. Are you playing on the server? Or are you on like your own thing? Play the KFC dating game on Thanksgiving? I don't know about that. Kat, are you rolling for Kagetora? Probably. But she's not until the second banner. This week is loading ready runs desert bus for Hope charity event. The event and chat is definitely not a cult. I am so confused as to what any of that means. I feel like you tried to explain it and now I'm more confused. Like what does the charity do? I guess is the idea that I need behind it. I'm on my own server. What's the group server? I'll join that. Let me give it to you. Actually, Shadow, do me a favor and DM me on Discord. It's probably the easiest way I can get it to you. I'd have to go double check, but I'm pretty sure I have the right info. We're not a cult? I mean, I would hope not. I fully leveled my first servant command code. Wait, what do you mean command code? Because you can't level that. Unless, like... Are you meaning craft essence? Oh, pause. Okay. Yeah, I was like, huh. Command card. Gotcha. Yeah, that I should have picked up on. So much free shit. Okay. Well, actually, now I'll be able to do that. Out of all the grands, have you been surprised by any of them? Honestly, I think the most surprising one for me was actually the Lancer one, simply because they had plenty of people that would have sufficed for Grand Lancer. And the option that they chose was simply to implement a new character. Since that one, nothing that they've done has surprised me, because that's the point where I realized that there were like no rules and they were going to be like, okay, we'll just do what we want. And so it's like, that's why I say like that was the one that was the most surprising to me. Okay. A chat. As I mentioned, we got a lot. Hold on, let me see. What is it gonna give me here? Oh, I really, really dislike when they do stuff like this. Okay. Yeah. I do that. Higher and higher. Actually, no, she already has Invuln Pierce, so we'll just do that. My Tamamo's already bond 11. Okay, Proto Memelin. I don't think it's gonna matter. We're just gonna put in whatever we want. I do despise having to build compositions like this at this point. Like, and only because they completely blanked it out. So it becomes rather dumb, in my opinion. Where is it? Did I pass it? No, you know what? We'll just do Grand Cavallo because I'm going to have the CE equipped. And then I'll just swap those two. Wait, am I insane? Yeah, okay. We're not done yet. I was going to say, I knew I had a Mystic Code that wasn't done. Gil was one of the most obvious choices. Yeah. Grengill only surprised me because he was so obvious that it was certain that I would go with someone else. I was more just surprised that they chose to do it like they called him Naked Gill, which is just really weird. And I like can't not think of like Naked Snake now at this point. Yeah, let me get it to you, Shadow. Because I gotta get you the ISP. Okay. Thanks, no problem. Yeah, just let me know if you have any issues. 99? Oh, shit. Oh, right, that's just him. I forgot. I'm gonna do it like that. Gonna take the arts cards here. This is not gonna be fast. Could have been True Naked Gill with the blinding light sensor, right? He did call himself that in CCC. Yeah. I'm just, like I said, I'm surprised that that's what they went with. Not that it was, like, shocking that they went with Gilgamesh, right? Man, not a single Musashi card. Holy cow, dude. I just, figured they'd use a different name, right? Tesla's Musashi-esque, right? I don't know about that. See if Musashi can at least just kill this. Yeah, she can. See, the problem is now Musashi has to functionally loop. Gonna do it like that and just pray to God that she doesn't get bodied. Nebuchadnezzar II would have actually been, I feel like, a little bit more interesting, but it is what it is. They kind of already pulled that one with Nemo, so I think they're trying to like stay away from doing the same gimmick twice, which I think is fine. Jane has been destroying this duel for me. Also, Summer Tiamat trivialized the CQ. Yeah, I really do feel like Summer Tiamat was put into the game because they realized as they were planning the grand duels that they just did not have an archer support. I think that was kind of why. And they knew that that was going to be something that people would view as necessary. Like there were like pseudo supports for archer, but nobody really of that capacity. Okay, just please don't give me the exact same thing. Okay. You know what? Fuck it. We ball. Also, Deontay, none of your supports have any CE equipped. Uh... Hey, you know what? Get in there. Summer Shufu. It uses event C servants, I think. I don't think so. It shouldn't. It's not as far as I can tell. Thoughts on the JP schedule announcement? We were just talking about that earlier. I think it's fine. I don't have any issues with it, and I was just talking about the fact that it's like there's no requirement other than Ordeal Call 4 to be able to do the finale is nice. I think that's a really good thing for them. And I think that they actually need to adopt that strategy going forward, if at all possible. The OC3 is skippable to play OC4. I don't know. Someone was bringing up earlier that it was required, so I don't actually remember. I'd have to double check. Requires Oberon. Okay, sorry. I was just sitting there mathing that out in my head as to like why I started with the 50% C, and it's because I'm using Reigns. Damn. I'm on crit. Okay, or not. Remember the song from the Recess movie? Yeah. I wonder if the finale can be killed or cleared without the Grands maxed. Probably. I think it's just a case of you're going to be required to fight with the Grands at some point, whether or not, like, they can't make it super difficult. If they do, it's basically just going to cock block them for anything else they do in the future, unless they change their stance, which is something I've proposed that they do before. Lurk tax for the Lurk God. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate it, my man. Hope you're having a good one. So glad we made it. So glad we made it. If they do bond level equal damage, I wonder how much bond 15s will get as a bonus. That is exactly why I'm currently running my my Lancer in here. Although I'm gonna pray to God that this is not just a get super nuked type of deal here. You know, just to be on the safe side. I basically have charge to spare, so let's pop Waver's defense so I don't get obliterated. Is that a whole whale? Yes. Not to be confused with a partial whale. Well, I'm expecting that there's going to be like a challenge-esque fight at the end, and the challenge-esque fight will probably require the Grands. Oh, that's all I had to do? I didn't... Okay. There I go overthinking. I see you got it in shadow. Now, chat, do you understand why I'm doing this now? Like, this is just, it's free real estate. Yeah, it's literally just build up some courts. In a weird way, I think they're also trying to say, like, look, take all the courts that you want, but now you've taken all the courts that you want. And there's nothing that you can do to get it back. Because I think a little bit it's the same thing with like free quests. They rely on you just going ahead and getting the amount of courts that you get from it. And they factor that into their calculations. And they say like, okay. Yeah, whatever. Give me the Brave Chain. We'll kill Darius anyways. I still wonder if they'll fix the MP and Rare Prism economy on JP. I actually don't think the Rare Prism economy is bad now. I think it's the Mana Prism economy that's bad. I think Rare Prisms you should not be able to buy everything for. So you need to prioritize if you're somebody that's a little bit more free to play. But I think Mana Prisms should not be something that players struggle to have enough of. I think that is like, you can make it a performative thing where they have to get it over time, but like, chat, unless you play the game in a hyper optimized way like I do, you will never have enough Mana Prisms. Ever. It's just not a thing. And I just don't see the majority of players playing like me. Not that it's bad, it's that most people are just not going to care enough. Okay, could you not just take me right back to the Interlude? Just focus a selective few things in the Rare Prism shop and you're fine. Yep. Don't forget they gave an extra Mana Prism shop from the final road to finale thing too. I only noticed this weekend. Thank you. I did forget about that. I remember telling everybody and then I just didn't do it myself. There's so much in the MP shop. Yeah, I like low key. I think they're trying to drain people out of Mana Prisms. My argument is that that's a very bad thing for the game. I don't think there's anything good to be had about draining people of Mana Prisms because on one hand, it's like, okay, who are you draining? You're draining me, the whale that has like, 500,000 of them. I don't care. I can't use them anyway. So you're just giving me more resources. Meanwhile, the people that can't get it are sitting there like they're drowning. They're like, what the heck? What do I do? So I think it's like, that's not a good approach that the devs have. And I think they will eventually realize that, but you guys have seen, I think they implement something, then they test it after a couple of months, and then they look at it and they go like, is this working? So I think they're going to realize that like, no, it was not working. I swear to God, I hit that button. All right, let's go. Well, actually, let's do the free pull before I forget. And again, you guys can see I'm sitting above pity. So I'm at a very good spot depending on what gets released on JP. Okay. Man, I mean, 4-star Cs, but blah. 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 Thank you, Khalil. Appreciate it. How you doing today? It's almost been a year. How time flies. It does. I appreciate the support, though. Thank you. Wait, what am I doing? Coming here to make blue apples, but that's not what I was trying to do. Yeah, you guys can see. So my JP account finally caught up and bought everything. And even mine is sitting on like a dwindling amount. So I started out at what, 48? Actually, I don't think I need to buy those. I just skipped the foes. I have so many still in the mailbox. Yeah, it's kind of wild. I never thought I'd see the day where it was just like, just don't buy foes. They're useless. To like 99.9% of players, they are not. To people that have been playing the game for years and have every unit in the game foed and still have some leftovers, not a lot you can do. So there you go, chat. 1 month. And in 1 month, I just drained myself of several thousand, and I have not touched the extra storm pods. And I'll be honest, I don't think I will. The storm pods are good, don't get me wrong, but they're also kind of ass. Like, most people aren't using them on the high-end nodes anyways, so all you're really getting from them is more Stardust, and it's more or less a catch-up thing. Which, if you're somebody that's needing to catch up on the storm pods, that means you're somebody that's probably newer because you weren't around when it first launched. Therefore, you don't have the mana prisms to buy the storm pods. It's kind of a stupid idea. You either don't need them at all, or you do need them, but you don't have the currency to buy them. Which I do have issue with. I don't think that's a good, like, implementation. I like that they're giving you the option, but ultimately it feels poor. Any more saying courts for whatever's coming next? And nobody knows. Oh no, not sabers. Come on. Come on, game. I'm just trying to level my Lancer. Do you think Albert is going to announce the Thanksgiving banners the same time as the Gouda banner? Yeah, I would not be surprised. I think, like, Gouda is coming earlier than we expected, and that may be part of the reason why, is just so that they could have the, like, actual, like, live stream to do it. So we'll see. If that gets announced and I'm not around for it, I'm sorry again, chat. Not much I can do. Wait, did I get baited? No. Mother. I used whatever I got. I'm running out of easily castable grails. Can't wait to see if NA gets the same friend point refund next summer that JP got. I don't even care about that. I want NA to get the 100 spin. I think it's stupid that we haven't gotten it. And I'm sure, like, it's not on the localization team to some degree. I mean, they do have to ask for it, but it's probably like, we'll get it when JP wants us to get it. I got seat 9. Nice. Yeah, I personally feel like the 100 spin and not having it actively makes me want to not touch my FP, and that is a bad thing for the game. I think that is players not using a system that is poorly implemented, and so therefore the devs should make it one of their utmost priorities to implement the fix for it. And I've always had this stance. It's like, if it helps the game, if it helps people's enjoyment of the game, if it helps new players get into the game easier, I think it's good. And I think that's something that it should absolutely bring early. I get things like, hey, let's not give them gotcha tweaks, because that's maybe perceived as just a benefit. But with something like FP, I don't perceive that as a gotcha tweak. I think that is a quality of life issue. Chad, are you everyday peepos? Hey, Gurus, how's it going? What you been up to lately, bud? Good to 100 FP spin? That would be great, honestly. There's going to be a lot of people that will roll out their FP here. So bringing it early is definitely not a bad thing. Hello, Sarth. How's it going? I'm about to reach a point where I'm not going to use a single one after Huion is Bond 15. I mean, you're just going to have to decide for a new one. I'm trying to live, bro. Wait, live or live? But yeah, no, the live one I get. I am running on like 4 hours sleep. So it's just been great. Not live yet. Gotcha. Good would be the perfect time to drop it. It really would. Like low key, if they drop it there, I'll give them major props. I really will. I will stand by the statement. Okay. I will always laud the devs when they do the right thing. When they don't and they make us suffer, I'm gonna give them shit. I feel it. Yeah, it's just basically. I don't want to ever imply this because it's not the case. Like, my girlfriend is not running me ragged, but this past week we did have a date Wednesday. We had a date Friday with 2 sets of her friends, which was fun. I actually really liked it. And then she on Saturday had a like Friendsgiving that she went to, and then Sunday we spent like all day doing stuff. And I didn't get back because there was an accident on the road, so I didn't get back until like 1 a.m. And I was like, dude, no. So I've had a lot here. Ugh, human interaction. I was telling her it's really interesting because like normally some of the stuff that we were doing were things that like I historically do not like to do. But doing them with her, it doesn't feel like it's a chore. It doesn't feel like it's like mentally overwhelming or anything like that. So it's nice. Dragging you out of your hermit hole. Yep. Cat is leveling the bond points pretty much. I am also just saying, and I usually do take this stance that whenever I have to do a bunch of strengthenings or interludes, I set one comp and I try to do it with that entire comp. Why? I'm lazy and I don't want to have to change the party 100 times. That's literally all it is. The day, burn out the night. And a servant is going to be spontaneously create a lost build for the devs to get all the resentment we have for the devs not giving shit early. I mean, I don't actually resent the devs for most things. Like again, I know the localization team tries, and I know the devs are also busy running JP, so they have their hands full with other sides of things. I will say there have been points that they have like fucked up, and there have been points where it felt like they made us wait too long for something. But generally, I think the devs are really good about giving us stuff early. Can't wait till you meet the parents. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've already talked about some stuff like that. We'll see, right? Like, I am kind of taking the relationship one day at a time because that's what you have to do, and it just is what it is. I'm not in a rush. I am just being patient and enjoying the ride. That's what it means to be with a partner you truly enjoy being around. Yeah, it's nice for a change. I will admit. I think several of the women that I have dated in the past, I was fooling myself into thinking that like this is what I wanted and stuff, and it's like I don't feel that way with this. I meant for the IRL girlfriend. Ah, I see. Bum, 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 bum. Smoke on the water. I have a nasty habit of being able to sing the lyrics ahead of time. No good cards here. Go with that. I'm just using Olga for everything. Yeah, I don't blame anybody for kind of just setting a comp to these and just going. Like the reason I'm doing this because I already have my Lartoria comp set up, and because yeah, she's not Bond 15 yet. Somehow, believe it or not, chat. I have done a damn good job of avoiding it all of these years. Does your girlfriend watch stream? There have been discussions about that. Is all I'll say. It's just been a year since my wife passed, and my daughter is dreading me dating again. I mean, I get it. I can also understand why, even if her trepidation isn't in you finding somebody new, I can understand the fear of you going back into the dating scene, both at your age, Kimba, and also with how modern dating is. I'll be real with you. Dating fucking sucks. I think it always has to a degree, but it's like it feels like every couple of years there's like new trials and tribulations getting added to the pile. Like there's just like it's an ever evolving thing, I guess. Feels like JP is getting a lot of buzz. Not much people caring about NA, it seems. Yeah, it feels bad. I think that's always to a degree been the case that as JP goes, so will NA. But I do think it's not a good thing if everything on NA is contingent upon everything on JP. Oh shit. Well, I didn't use Clean Sky's extra charge skill. Oh well. I've not been bothering dating and expecting I'll be alone. Honestly, you should. Like, go put yourself out there, chat. I myself, and I've told her this already. To a degree, there was a point that I was like giving up. Because after several failed relationships, I felt like I was never going to find someone. And at least in a small part, there is a part of me that almost has like a complex that it's like, oh, it's me. I'm the problem. In meeting her and seeing how a relationship is supposed to go with somebody that is legitimately interested in you, like there's mutual interest, I realize I'm not the problem. I have never actually been the problem. The only way that I could say that I was the problem was in I was naive and willing to bend over backwards to try to make the relationship work when I should have seen the warning signs and known that it was not going to. So I think it was very emotionally taxing on me. But the reality was that, like, yeah, that sort of thing was just never going to be possible. So I really do mean it when I say it, but it's like, yeah, to a degree, I think you should put yourself out there and try again. You're going to fail. You're going to have people that just are terrible people that you go out on dates with and stuff. It sucks, but you have to just remain a little bit resolute that you're in it to find the right person. And I think that really does matter. Okay, there wasn't a Kai in Sky. That's right. I was switching. And again, it is what it is. Why did I do that? I should not have popped the mana burst there. You are quite Wisewig? Wisewig? Apparently it's changed heaps in the past few years. It's so funny because I'm sure to a degree it has, but at least with her, she has been more the traditional way of dating. And it's so nice. It's what I was always looking for. And it does make things easier to not have to deal with a whole bunch of like extra expectations, if that makes any sense. Not that she doesn't have expectations, just that I'm not having to deal with like some of the more insane ones that I've had, which actually, let me. Yeah. I sent this to Ash the other day. So chat. Let's mute that. Yup. 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 I have not dealt with this one. I feel so bad for anyone that has. I'm also going to say this one shouldn't even be on the list because if it is, you're not actually dating the person. You think you're dating the person, they don't think you are dating them, which could be an issue. But like I said, this really shouldn't be here. It represents that there is a complete like canyon of like differences in opinion on what this is going on. Oh yeah. Yup. 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 That one's Gaslight, if you could see it down there. And yep. Yep. So I dealt with every single one of those other than you're like a brother to me. And it's so funny because it's not wrong. Like, that is why I think I'm at where I'm at. And why it has been hard for me to find a relationship is I've had to deal with all those other toxic things. And I've just said, I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. So the second I start seeing some of these warning signs in a woman, I just go like, no, this is not going to work. She dates her brother? Yeah. I mean, the idea is that, like, if she says something like that you're getting, like, friend zoned or something, or she's basically telling you that she doesn't care. At least not about you the same way that you care about her. So again, it's like, that shouldn't be, you know, you're going on dates with people if she actually thinks that way. Trial and error, yeah. Wondering who your Grand Archer was and how? My Grand Archer is Squirtoria. And how I said with the team, I'm just running like double Tiamat and I'm just two-turning it. Any person doing the if you don't accept me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best thing is a red flag? Yes, absolutely. you should want to be your best for your significant other. It doesn't mean that you don't have points where you're not. It means that you should be striving to be. And if you don't feel that way, there's maybe some issues there, right? So it's like you have to put up with me at my worst, but the second you're at your worst, they won't put up with you. It's like, it's a two-way street. Relationships are a two-way street. Anybody that's thinking along the lines of, oh, I don't want to have to do something for my significant other, your relationship's never going to work. If you're only concerned about you yourself in a relationship, it will not work. That is the truest thing I can say. Trying to blitz through JP from LB7 to Ordeal Call 4. Good luck. I mean, honestly, it shouldn't be too difficult, but it'll take a while. I think LB7 will be the big problem for you. Squirtle, Bulbasaur, or Charmander? I feel obligated to say Squirtle, but the truth of the matter is, if we're actually talking Pokemon, that I would probably tell you, well, yeah, it might be Squirtle. I've always been a big, like, Charmander dude because I just like dragons. And that's basically what Charmander is. Charmander, just big old fire-breathing Dargon. I'm sorry, Klingon Doomgrass? What? What the hell is this? I gotta kill the books, don't I? Do it like that. I'm in the middle of it right now, yeah. Less than a month, good luck. I mean, it's plenty fine. Now, which Digimon? Demi Devimon, Gomamon, or Patamon? The answer is Angelmon, or what is it, Beelstarmon? And it is what it is, chat. Do it like that. No Lilithmon for shame. Isn't Lilithmon the other side of the combination there? Yeah. Well, chat, you know me. Also, really? Drain Ghost? Come on. Okay, good luck. Let's hope we kill it. Got King Protea with Cuckoo. Okay, yeah. Just tell him the quickest route to Big Booba Blonde, chat, right? That's really all it takes. I am a simple man. Hey, we got Ivan done. I don't know why the hell that was so difficult. I swear to God, if this one's also like a defensive standoff. Some of these are just kind of toxic because they... And like the strengthenings are easy. Interludes will take you a bit because you have to deal with mechanics and gimmicks. And yet, still, I am brute forcing most of this. Hmm. Okay. Game's just gonna let me do what I'm doing. Interludes are mini story stage. Yeah, I mean interludes have always been like more about the story that they're trying to tell than like basically it just being an upgrade. Which is funny because it became synonymous with upgrades due to a lot of stuff, but honestly, it's good. Okay. The Who's Bad Girlfriend song? Yeah. And let's be real here for a second too, because I know we have ladies in the audience as well, but like, it's not like guys don't do dumbass shit too. Like, we are not like angels or anything like that compared to how women act in relationships. Both sides are bad about things. In some cases, both sides are bad about the same things. I think one of the interesting ones that I saw, and this was a couple months ago, but it was I think I was watching Diary of a CEO, and they had Dr. K on, which Dr. K is a therapist basically, and he does some work here on Twitch. And they were asking Dr. K about like relationships and stuff, and he had talked about the fact that like he would have women in there and they would complain that their boyfriend was afraid of commitment and that he just refused to commit. And he said that he would bring the boyfriend in, he would convince the boyfriend to commit, and he would get him past that mental block, and then the boyfriend would go and like, propose or like take their relationship to the next level. And that then the next thing, he's like, in every single one of these scenarios, it's like the woman would run. He's like, basically, women will claim that guys are afraid of commitment, but it's projection. They're both afraid of commitment. And it was like, that was eye-opening for me, because it's like, oh yeah, I never really thought about something like that. That like, absolutely it could be the case. Girls are just as gooner as men. They're different in how they choose to go about it, but honestly, yes. Like, I think women have their own sets of wants and desires. Dazed and confused. Been a hot second since I heard this. I've heard of him. Yeah, Dr. K is interesting. I have no idea how trained Dr. K is. He might be like somebody that's really, really like licensed and stuff. I couldn't tell you. I've never like watched him for the therapeutic advice or anything. I just found that particular episode interesting because it was talking about, again, dating and things like that. So I was like, okay, let's, I'm getting back in the pool. Let's see how this is. Like, let me see what other people are saying on that sort of thing. And it was just, there was a little bit of eye-opening moments there. Let's do it like that. I told you I'm in a 60s mood. There's no problem with it. I like me some Led Zeppelin. And we have the Dante's interlude where we fight Arjuna and Fluffy. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I still have that one to do, I think on NA. I don't remember if I did it or not on JP, but I'll still probably leave it for a while on NA. And not because it's actually that difficult, but just because it takes time. And by the way, chat, we're not just going to keep doing interludes all night. I have other stuff planned. I'm just trying to get through a good chunk of these because right now there's not a whole lot else to do. Like I can farm the Grand Duel, but I'll get that done like a little bit on my own because it's nice to have like, 40 AP to spend down. Alter Ego. This could be interesting. Free courts is free courts, exactly. Interviewed Asmon too, I think years ago. He's interviewed most of the major streamers. I remember he was talking with Pirate Software about like all of the like kind of narcissistic stuff that Pirate does, and like I haven't watched that episode, I've just seen the clips of it. By the way, I got all but the last 2 NP branches for Rider class score done. Nice. Finally pretty much done with Dust. Yeah, which is why, like I said, I think there was the one day that I lost my login bonus on JP, which no, actually it wouldn't matter because the storm pods just accumulate. So yeah, that I've not missed a single storm pod then. So yeah, I don't think I'm behind in terms of Stardust. I'd have to double check to make sure I have the resources, but I don't think it's like impossible for me to have at this point by any means. Gonna do it like that. I did buy the monthlies though, just as a heads up. Okay, I haven't. Pirate Software were like Pirate Joke. On one hand, I can empathize with Pirate Software as a content creator that has had his own fair share of drama and like seen some of the stuff that people have gone through. I get it. On the other hand, sometimes when you fuck up, it's easy to just say, hey, my bad. Like, that is easier than being pig-headed and being stubborn. And I wish more people would realize that. Like, you do yourself a disservice if you just insist that you're always right. And I feel like that's not a good, like, scenario. Is he still losing subs? I don't know. I know he was for a long time there. I think, like, he's almost faded out of relevancy at this point. Yeah, I mean, 3 months ago, people were saying he had lost 90% of his audience. Which, like I said, I think to a degree I can feel bad because he had been like supporting a lot of causes that he felt were worth supporting. So it's like, it's sad to see like some of that stuff go, but that's exactly why you need to like not put yourself ahead of that sort of thing. It's like if you actually cared for those causes and stuff, just fess up. Right? And I get it. It's like, I think the bigger you get as a content creator, the more pressure there is on you to act and behave right. I don't have a problem with that. I understand that. I think some of these content creators, they get big so quickly, so fast, they didn't have to like actually learn and understand what it's like to be at their size. So they didn't, I'm not going to say they didn't organically grow, but they didn't like gradually grow. They exploded onto the scene. And when that happens, it's like you're jumping from having no relevance to suddenly you are hyper relevant and you're relevant to everything. And any false step can get you in hot water. And I think that's where that comes from. And I get how that's like, it's you probably feel like you're walking a tightrope. But what if I'm always right? I think a lot of content creators think they are. I think there is a lot of narcissistic tendencies amongst content creators, especially the bigger ones. Partially because you almost have to be selfish to succeed at the level that they do, but also partially because they really do just prioritize themselves at the expense of everybody else around them. And even if you maybe weren't somebody that was initially narcissistic, it probably does get to you if you don't know how to handle something like that. Like eventually it gets to your head, right? And you go like, oh yeah, you know, I deserve this. I'm so big. I'm so like of course I can't be wrong. Like that sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, I get it too, because there is the pressure, I think, as a content creator to feel like you're an authority, to feel like you're somebody that people turn to and look up to. So you don't want to disappoint them. You don't want to make it look like you're getting like one guide or something like that. But I think there are better ways to handle it. And it's just to have like open dialogue with people and just to, again, like be like, hey, I don't know. Just like admit that you don't know things and admit that like maybe you're ignorant on a subject, or admit that maybe you're wrong on this take or like this situation. I think those sorts of things are healthy, and people will, at least to a degree, respect you for being somebody that is on the more truthful side of things rather than like somebody that's just trying to stroke their own ego constantly. I think that's what got him in the trouble that he was in. I think that's why the trouble didn't go away, is because he refused to ever admit any sort of wrongdoing. And it was just like, oh, even I think like with the WoW situation, for instance, like finally he begrudgingly admitted, oh, I made mistakes, but so did they. It was like he would only ever meet at the point of like, fine, maybe I didn't do everything correct, but like it was because of these people's fuck up. And it's like, no. 10% of his highest peak audience is still 1K viewers. Yeah, and that's like, it's really funny because I'm sure there's still a lot of streamers out there, myself included, that would kill for even 1,000 streamers or 1,000 viewers. 1,000 streamers would not kill for 1,000 streamers. But I think like, yeah, you look at that sort of thing. That's why, like, you know, I've had people before calling me like a big streamer. They're saying like, oh man, you're so big in the directory and stuff like that. It's like, I don't really feel like I am. I feel like I am maybe a big fish in a small pond, but that it's an ocean out there, and that is not like in the grand scheme of things, I am nobody, and I know that. And that's something that I've always tried to tell myself to help keep myself humble at these points, because I get that I think this sort of thing can go to your head very easily if you let it. I think it's important to stay grounded. It's okay to have different opinions if you can articulate them well. Yeah, I do agree with that too. I mean, like, not everyone's going to agree on things. It's a reality marble if I'm always right. Man, must be nice, right? It is funny because a girlfriend joked the other day that she was always right, and I just like gave her this look because she knew. Like, she's already been wrong on a couple of things, myself included. Like I've been wrong as well on certain things. It's like, I think both of us are just very open about admitting it when we are. So it's like, it's nice. It's nice to see that. But yeah, I can't imagine being with people that actually do truly think that they are like God's gift to mankind and that they can do no wrong. I feel like that is gotta just be tiresome if you have to deal with people like that all the time. Lurker Tax, thank you, Zach. Appreciate it. Ocean man, take me by the hand. My FGO stream would just be my cat slapping the screen for Kiyohime's voice lines. I see. And this cat could be a top 20 overall Twitch streamer via views, subs. That'd be great, honestly. I would love to make like streaming my career, because one, it would give me a lot of flexibility of like where I could be. Two, it would give me a lot of flexibility as to like what sort of hours did I want to work. So like I could turn it into my 9-to-5 job, and maybe I would have like evenings free. That would be nice, right? Like, as opposed to now I have to stream during the evenings, and not because I don't like it, but in the sense that like I have no other time that I could, so I just don't have that option. It's the dream job. Yeah. And it's funny because there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, streaming isn't difficult. Like your 9 to 5 is so much more difficult than streaming. And it's like, yes, but no. Being actually successful at streaming. And there's a caveat here, chat. There is a massive asterisk of, wait, what? Okay. There's a massive asterisk of streaming is super easy if you know the right people. If you know the right people, you can be spoon-fed an audience from like some other major streamer. And honestly, that shit just pisses me off. It's bullshit as somebody that has had to like work for everything that I've gotten. And that's why whenever people are like, oh, streaming's so easy, I'm just like, yeah, fuck off. Like you don't understand. But on the flip side, I do think that once you get established, things to a degree do get easier. I think there is at least some truth to what they're saying, which is that you can definitely allow for people to help you out. You can pay people to do certain parts of the actual system for you, and that really does make things easier on you. But I also think it's like that's the epitome of somebody that like didn't have to work for things if they actually truly feel that way, because streaming is very difficult in the sense of like all of the extracurricular stuff you have to do to be a content creator, to get things up and online. The act of actually like sitting here and talking with you guys, I think it like to some people it probably comes naturally. To other people it's probably something they have to work at. To other people it's something they would never want to do, right? I think looking at that is something that for me, I have to work at it to be like above and beyond. But for the most part, I feel like this sort of thing just comes naturally to me because I'm not trying to be somebody that I'm not. I'm not trying to like present myself in a way that I'm not. And I just continue to like be who I am. So in that regard, streaming is easy. In terms of like content and like coming up with stuff to do for every single day, trying to make the stream interesting, trying to make the stream entertaining, that is a lot of work. And then there's still all of the like micromanagement outside of streams of like, how do you handle your social media? What do you do for like things like YouTube and other forms of content? How do you handle sponsorships? How do you handle interested third parties? How do you handle viewers that want to sit there and like have a piece of your time? All of that is a balancing act, and something's got to give somewhere, and that's rough. It's deceptively difficult. Like life, you need connections. You don't need connections. Connections just make it easier. That really is what it boils down to, is like people that have connections and have an easy in usually do have it easier than everybody else. One of the content creators that I like to watch is a guy called Legendary Drops. He's got a lot of interesting takes on things, and he's a lot of like what I would see myself doing as a content creator if I had more time and capability. Okay. But Legendary Drops didn't really grow until Asmongold watched his channel and promoted him and started like watching more of his videos. So if Asmongold had never watched his stuff, he probably wouldn't have grown very much. That's the annoying part about some of the stuff. You almost have to grow to a point and position yourself well to succeed, but it almost still requires a little bit of luck or a little bit of benevolence on behalf of somebody else. And that kind of sucks, but that just is the way it is. Not to say that like Drops wouldn't have succeeded without Asmongold. He would have. It just probably would have taken a whole lot longer. It would have taken a whole lot more time and effort on his part. So it is what it is. Yeah, I hate the luck aspect to it. Yeah, it just is what it is. You can do everything right and still get nowhere. Algorithms, I would say if you do everything right and you got nowhere, that could not happen. It would be more, you're doing everything right except maybe like one thing. So it's like maybe the timing of your videos is off. Maybe the titling of your videos is off. Maybe the time that you're streaming is wrong, or maybe the way you're presenting your stream is wrong. I think all of those can be a factor. And it's like you can have every other thing right, but if there's like one major thing wrong, you just won't succeed. I hate Asmongold's political takes. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not going to get into politics and stuff, but I think that sort of thing just boils down to like, basically, you can watch somebody for their takes and other things. It's the same thing as like, you know, you can go back and you can read Harry Potter and you can not agree with the way like J.K. Rowling conducts herself or her stances on things. It just, you have to be able to like separate the artist from their work. And I'm not calling Asmongold an artist per se, but it's like you could definitely watch his like takes on video games and enjoy them, but then not agree with him politically, for instance. And I don't think there's any problem with that. Ayo, ayo. Drops is good. I generally agree with Drops on a lot of things. And he puts things very articulately. Things that I would struggle to maybe say myself. So it's one of the reasons why I think he has succeeded. Japan is apparently considering banning censorship on their anime games for the West. Yeah, which that's been something we were talking about last week, and I think it's good. I think it's a nice thing that they're doing that stuff. I think, like, in a weird way, chat, it's gatekeeping. It's saying, hey, we need to protect our hobbies and interests from people that would do them harm. I do think that you should have a wide open community for people that, like, are legitimately interested and fans of the series. But I think there's a point where you have to say, hey, look, this person is posing as a fan, but they actually just want to fundamentally change what it's about, and this can't work. Like, this can't be a good thing. And I do see that with, like, you know, that's where it's like, if you talk about the localizers and how they change stuff for anime, I think it's a major problem. They're not actually trying to interpret the anime to the letter of the intent. They are trying to change it in a way to make it less problematic, and the problem exists only in their mind. Not that other people might not have a problem with it, but the sense that, like, if you have a problem with an anime or a show, or a video game even for that matter, it's like, what should your first response be? Well, it's simple. It should be not to partake. Like, it's like, if there's just a fundamental problem with it, like, an example of this was like when Goblin Slayer first came out and people did not like the first episode. That's fine. I can respect that. It doesn't make Goblin Slayer a bad show, but your first instinct at that point should be just, I'm not going to watch it. And it's that simple. Not, Goblin Slayer should change. Therein lies the problem. Like, it's when you want the thing to change to suit your tastes and interests, as opposed to, hey, I think this is a problem, but I'm just not going to watch it. It's perfectly fine if they keep it the way it is for other people that don't mind that, or see the artistic value in something that maybe I don't see the artistic value in. Creativity because the West is just crazy right now. I mean, honestly, I could argue that Japan is suffering from a lot of the same issues that the West was suffering from, which is that Japan, if you'll notice, has gone through like several trends and crazes within anime. So it's like, for instance, the isekai like craze that was like everywhere for like a good 3 years. Why? I don't know, man. Like, I'm not like somebody that agrees with all these people like, oh, isekai is just garbage. I think isekai can be great. But it was definitely getting overused. And it was definitely like a fad. And that's not a good thing that it was that way. So I think when you look at that sort of thing, you could say like, yeah, Japan also is still guilty of some of the same problems that like modern Hollywood has been, which is that maybe they're also a little bit creatively defunct. But it doesn't matter. We still shouldn't change it to suit our tastes. It's like if they want to do that, let them do it. And if the anime doesn't perform well, then it's maybe for those reasons that it was an overdone trope. You can beat anything to death. Yeah, I agree. Oh, shit. Should have subbed the Korean Sky out, but whatever. I kind of missed the battle harem genres. Go back and find some you missed. I guarantee you there are. Japan was getting affected by the West's BS. Bocchi the Rock got censored because of that. Yeah, and it is interesting to see Japan fight back, and they should. They really should. That cat, I eat isekai trash and it's so good. Like, I think isekai is fine. I've called isekai trash myself, but I've said it's my type of trash, right? It's something that I'm going to say, it's like, if people don't like isekai, that's fine. Just don't yuck someone else's yum. Like, but that doesn't mean that you should say, like, oh, isekai is trash, so therefore there should be no more isekai stuff because I don't want to see it. It's like, well, maybe other people do. A lot of stuff is kind of a mess, yeah. Ring King is great trash anime. The hell was there even to censor? It is what it is. That's really all I can say. Is like, it is just self-important people thinking they can do better than the author that made the popular work. And it's like, no, you can't. Like, I think it's one thing to look at, like, say, Tolkien's works and be like, ooh, Lord of the Rings is great. I want to try to do something similar because Lord of the Rings was inspiring to me. Versus, oh, Lord of the Rings, I can do better than that. I'm going to change this interpretation of Lord of the Rings because clearly mine is superior. The former is liking something to such a degree that you attempt to emulate it. The latter is despising something to such a degree that you were just ignorant of it. And I think that's a problem. Yeah, but thank you for the gift. Appreciate it. How many of these do I have to do? Hiya! That's a lot. Bum, 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 bum. What, Adam? Sorry, I'm just stun locked by this. Almost at 100. Nice. Yeah, so we're basically done with all of our interludes. These are going to take a hot second. I will probably do some of these off stream as well as I get time. But, chat, there is something that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Okay, chat. Everybody talked about it. We're going to end up talking about it because somebody's got to. Obviously, again, it's we get this every year. There's a lot of controversy involving the Game Awards. Let's work in backwards order because I think that's the best way to do this. Because this literally goes in order of importance. You can see best esports team is 100% like just sitting here. This is so effing funny to me just to start off with. Because chat, to understand any of this, Gen G got nominated for League of Legends. Nobody else got nominated. Gen G did not win the championship this year. This is actually hilarious. I don't know how they keep getting nominated. And this is just an example of everything that's wrong with the Game Awards. How do you nominate somebody that didn't win their game? That's stupid. Like, I get it, but it's such a dumb thing. Okay? Chat thinks Team Falcons? Sure, why not? Because I actually don't know who the other ones are here. Okay? Best esports athlete. Well, it's pretty clear they got tired of Faker winning it. So, it just is what it is. I do know who Chovy is. What? I've reached the edge. Damn, the edge is calling tonight. Huh? Please try again later. Sick site. Website crashed. Yeah. We're doing great. Okay. Nominees just being reloaded. Yeah, they're actively trying to... Dude. Dude, it's just not even loading well anyways. I think the site's like losing its shit because it's not... Okay, there we go. I don't know, chat. Anybody got any other input here? How are my Street Fighters? You can't complain to the Game Awards if they're ignoring fan votes, if no fan can vote. That's true. Except, I think you could still make the complaint. So it is what it is. Nope, could care less. I mean, I'm gonna be real. I don't want to vote Chovy for the exact same reason. It's like, you didn't win. Therefore, you shouldn't get best esports athlete. Faker not here, yeah. Chat. I'm gonna vote Kakaru here because bro just look kind of sick. I also like how doing this in backwards order is just like cancerous. Best esports game. All right, I do think this is at least like interesting between these four. I know Mobile Legends Bang Bang is like popular overseas. That's not good enough. For you to be the best esports game, you have to be popular worldwide. And I hate to say it, but I think that also kind of precludes Valorant. So to me, it's between these three. I don't think Dota 2 wins out over League because of this. Though I do think Dota 2 is a definite big deal. So I think it basically comes down to Counter-Strike 2 or League. I will be real with y'all. I think due to the skin fiasco that they had that pissed a lot of people off, it's probably League. Is this gonna register? Okay, looks like it did. Content Creator of the Year. This is really interesting because I think to a degree, I don't know who this is. I think this is a League cover. I may be wrong. I feel like I maybe have seen him before. Like, I recognize the face. I don't recognize the name. I don't know who Sakura Miko is. I also have no idea who the Burnt Peanut is. So to me, this comes down to these two. Now, I can make a decent argument that content creation counts as you being in an actual, like, game. So Moist Critical being the voice of Sonar and Dispatch counts as him popping off as a content creator. That being said, I'm gonna be honest with you. Moist Critical's big year was like prior to this. Why is he just now getting nominated? This is actually kind of stupid. Like, if anything, he's been kind of coming back into relevancy after being gone for a bit. I have to kind of go with Kai. I don't think any of them are necessarily like, ooh, this is who you need to pick this year. But Kai, I at least can say, had his name like out there most of the year. So to me, it's Kai. Most anticipated game. You know what? Let's leave this one. This is an actual good category. Best adaptation. No, come on. This is what happens when you go out of order at the Temu Oscars. There we go. Best adaptation. Chat. I have not seen or heard anything about Splinter Cell Deathwatch. Maybe it's really good. But because I haven't seen or heard anything about it, I don't know that it is. That being said, let's just go through these. Devil May Cry makes people cry because of how poorly adapted it is. This is in no way, shape, or form the way that Dante is actually supposed to be. So it literally, by default in my eyes, loses. If there was anything on this list that had to get last place, it's Devil May Cry. Last of Us 2 quite literally had the exact same problem that the game did, where fans hit the point of watching what happened to Joel and they stopped watching, which tells me, while it may be a faithful adaptation, it is still just as polarizing as the original and therefore bad. Until Dawn, I've heard, is actually pretty good, but it is in no way, shape, or form like the video game it is supposed to be based off of. It's not even the same story, is what I've heard. Therefore, it also needs to lose. Quite literally, by default, Minecraft movie sweeps. It just wins this category in a landslide, and I'm not going to be surprised by that. It's the way it absolutely should be. All right, best multiplayer story. Oh God, if I can get the website to stop dying. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. Oh, okay. Wait. Okay. Best multiplayer. So this is interesting because one of my big complaints about the Game Awards, and I actually tweeted this out earlier today, but it's like, I don't like that we have the Game Awards December 11th. And the reason why is because we are announcing the nominees on November 17th, which means that all of this had to be voted on by the judges at worst, at best, early November. Okay? That is not enough time to judge some of these games off of. We have had multiple games come out since the judges probably had the capability to nominate anything. And that's bad. That's not the way this should work. The Game Awards should be happening in January, where at least games that come out in November, in that final stretch of the push for the holiday buying season there, have had the opportunity to be played and consumed. Yes, things can come out in December, but it is a rarity a little bit in the gaming sphere of things. December is usually a very dead month. Not that there's nothing that comes out, but usually the games that come out then are much smaller games, and they're usually not a game that's going to pop off and become game of the year. And that's fine. I'm not going to take anything away from those games. The fact that we don't have the Game Awards after the end of the year is the stupidest thing in the world to me, and I just don't understand. Because it cost the nominations, in my opinion, of certain games. So, best multiplayer, we have Split Fiction. And this is just going to be, again, another really good co-op game. I like co-op. Elden Ring Night Rain, a little bit of a same deal. This one is going to be a little bit more of a roguelike experience. Peak, absolutely another one of those good and viral, play with your group of friends type of games. Battlefield 6, just absolutely phenomenal for what it is doing to the shooter genre, at least compared to Call of Duty, that is doing God knows what at this point. And Arc Raiders, which is apparently the best extraction shooter that we've seen in a long time. This one's actually a little bit of a difficult category, and I think it's really going to come down to how people feel about certain things. I will not be surprised to see Arc Raiders or Battlefield 6 sweep this, just due to the sheer number of players that they have, and due to the recency bias that both of them have. That being said, if you ask me what is the best one here, I'm going to probably tell you that it's either Peak or Split Fiction. And for me, I'm going to go with Split Fiction. Not that Peak's not good, but because Split Fiction is doing something that the genre sorely lacks, and that is that couch co-op style of game that we just don't have anymore, and I think it's a really cool idea. Best sports racing game. I'm gonna be honest, I think a lot of people don't care about this category. It is interesting. I'm gonna tell you that no EA sports game should ever win this category. I'm sorry, if you're an EA sports fan, this is just not a big deal. I feel like they don't do enough to warrant this nomination, even, let alone that it should win. that each iteration of the game is just another milked out version, and I don't want to condone some of the stuff that they've done. I can look at things like the racing ones and say, like, hey, they're very much in the same vein, but I do feel like racing games at least try to change things up every now and then. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, I feel like this is just a Mario Kart clone. And then Rematch, I actually have no idea. I've not seen or heard anybody playing this game. To me, it's probably Mario Kart World, but only because it is the least of the bad options here. And I feel like it's mostly just, hey, we are at least trying to do something different by being open world. So it is what it is. Uh-oh, that one didn't take. Give it a second. From what I heard, Sonic is better than Mario. Yeah, and I would absolutely respect that if somebody disagrees with me on that one. Some of these categories I don't know a whole lot about, so it is what it is. Chat. I'm sure most of you guys overlook this category. This category is such a travesty. Allow me to explain. Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles. Basically a remake. Jurassic World Evolution 3 just came out. But of course, they paid to get on here. Sid Meier's Civilization 7. Actually terrible, by all accounts. And if we go look... Let's see real quick if I can bring up Civ. How are you going to vote best sim strategy, something that just can't even get past like 50%? Like, I'm sorry, this in no way, shape, or form should be nominated. This is just a shit game. It's a shit iteration of Civilization. It is the worst Civilization to date. Can it be good? Yeah, if they work on it more. And I know they're trying, but how do you nominate the worst ever of its series to be the best of the year? That would imply that everything else is worse than it. And I just don't see that. So yeah, it's absolutely bribery. Tempest Rising, I'll be honest, I don't know what this one is. The Altars, I've heard that there was a lot of controversy with this over the use of AI stuff. I don't really know. I don't really care. And 2 Point Museum? Huh? Chat. Let me be real with you guys for a second. There are two things that probably should have been on this list. Things that came out in a similar time frame to Jurassic World Evolution, only slightly later. Europa Universalis 5 just came out and got rave reviews, as it is a return to grand strategy greatness. And also, Anno Pax Romana is out right now and also getting good reviews. So we have two additions to the strategy genre that were released late in the year that don't even make the cut. They were just not even considered because they had already decided this before they came out. That is so stupid. And that is the problem for the Game Awards as it currently sits. Both of those two games are probably better than anything else on this list. And that, in and of itself, is a problem. So, I hate to say it, I'm going to vote Final Fantasy Tactics just because it is the best game here, I think. But I don't like voting for remakes, usually, if it's not a, like, remake category. Best Family. I've heard good things about Donkey Kong Bonanza. Everybody that has played it that I have heard has had positive stuff to say. I do think the game is overpriced, but it is what it is. I'm not going to factor price in on this. Lego Party, I've also heard decent things about. Lego Voyagers, I have heard nothing about. Mario Kart World, again, I've heard positive stuff, but it is what it is. Sonic Racing, same thing, positive stuff. I hate to say it, I'm going to go with Split Fiction for the exact same thing here. I think Split Fiction got a little screwed this time around and probably should have been up for a higher nominee. Best fighting. If it will let me change. Okay. There we go. Okay, so we have 2XKO. This kind of finally popped off a little bit late in the year, but I have not heard the best things about it. Capcom Fighting Collection, I know people were super stoked when this got announced. I haven't heard much since then, but I assume it's a hit with the fighters. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Again, I've actually seen a lot about this compared to some of the other ones on this list. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. I'm gonna be real. I don't know what this is, and I'm also going to say that I haven't heard anybody say anything about it, so I don't know. Like is this just the original Mortal Kombat that they're releasing? Virtua Fighter 5. Virtua Fighter back in the day, definitely solid. I don't know again if this one's the thing. To me, yeah, it's probably the Capcom Fighting Collection or Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. I do think both of these two are probably the two that should be here, and the others like maybe 2XKO, but I don't think either of these two are necessarily in consideration. We're gonna go with Capcom. If it will register. Oh, there we go. Best Erpiga. If we can ever get to it. Don't choose a remake, Madge. I know. It is what it is. Oh. Okay. They put Wilds in RPG and not action, did they? Chat, can you guys get off the site? Best RPG. Outer Worlds 2 did just come out. I'm actually surprised it made the cut, and this is another thing that I'm just going to go ahead and say someone was paid off, and I know they have denied allegations of being paid off. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. Some of these nominations make zero sense, even for people in the, like, journalism side of things, okay? Best RPG is kind of interesting. I think we all know what's actually going to win this. But yeah, the fact that Avowed is here is just like, dude, no. Also, this is a really wide open genre. How do you only have 5 nominees? And how is, like, again, like Monster Hunter Wilds is not an RPG as far as I'm concerned. Let's take a look at Avowed's ratings. Okay. Not gonna lie. I'm actually surprised that it finally became mostly positive. Because, yeah, mixed was what I was expecting it to be again. And let me see if I can see the ratings. Oh, they don't show you the graph anymore, do they? Oh, wait. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so it actually did. Being said, you can see it's absolutely fallen off hard. And there is not a whole lot going on. This was Obsidian's take on trying to make a world like the Elder Scrolls. They'll claim that it was not, but they kind of got lambasted due to some of the comments that their art director made, and also just the general tone and art style of the game was not what it was originally shown to be. They were originally making Avowed much more of a like dark fantasy RPG, where it was going to be like gonna be a little bit more like Dragon Age Origins or The Witcher, and instead it ended up being rainbow puke on the screen. So it is what it is. Claire Obscure, again, this is just the obvious front runner. I don't see anything else winning when it's paired up with Claire Obscure. I think Claire Obscure is just going to absolutely sweep in that regard. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I do think deserves some recognition. I may vote for it here, we'll see. Monster Hunter Wilds also deserves recognition. I think it gets absolutely excoriated by people just because of stupid reasons. But this is not the category for it, and I don't understand why. Outer Worlds 2, well, let's go look at Outer Worlds 2. Let's see how people are feeling about it. So it's also mostly positive at this point. Not a whole lot of people have played it. And I'm not surprised, because this is another one of these releases that it's like day one on Game Pass. Honestly, from playing Outer Worlds 2, the little bit that I did, it does seem like it has a good foundation, and I can see it being probably more positive than some of the controversy that surrounded it. But unfortunately, I can't vote for Outer Worlds 2, and I'm sorry for the Outer Worlds 2 devs in that regard, simply due to the way that the release was handled, both by Microsoft and themselves, the way it was marketed and everything like that. This was just an absolute travesty of what not to do for marketing your video game prior to launch. Yeah, I think it's between these two in my eyes. I'm gonna go with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 for right now. I know I'm gonna get some people that are gonna get upset about that. Just again, Clair Obscur definitely worthy of it, but we'll see. I have reached the edge again. Man, even the Game Awards goes like, hey, you can't do this. You didn't vote for Clair Obscur. I got off the page. I was joking. Yeah, I really don't think you guys are actually bogging it down. This site's just not working well. It was better in terms of RPG in my eyes. Yeah. I think you got to vote the category, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Best Action Adventure. This is an interesting one. Death Stranding 2 on the beach probably should be here. Monster Hunter Wilds should be right here. And I'm dead serious. How you don't have it... Well, sorry. Hold on. Do they have a Best Action category? Yeah, they do. Okay, so we'll double check that. Maybe it's there instead. But... Ghost of Yotai. Ghost of Yotai was so close to greatness, and just like it feels like they just missed their mark. I feel really bad because Sucker Punch did an amazing job with the first game, but whoever infected that studio when they were making the second game, they just ruined it in that regard. I don't think it's like a completely terrible game, but I think like a lot of the things that made the first game truly unique and amazing and fun were kind of pulled out of this one and changed out for things that like were self-insert and not good for the IP as a whole. Silk Song, I think you can make an argument that Silk Song's not an action adventure game, but I think it's a hard argument. And I do think Silk Song absolutely deserves its recognition. Indiana Jones, I actually loved this game. I thought it was great. I thought it was overpriced, but this game was worthy of consideration. It doesn't also do anything special. It's just riding off the like coattails of Indiana Jones being such a good IP. And then Split Fiction. I've already voted Split Fiction in other areas, so I'm going to vote Hollow Knight here. Okay, best action game. Yeah, this is absolutely where Monster Hunter Wild should be. It is what it is. Doom of the Dark Ages kind of missed its mark by all accounts, so I don't think that's going to be it. Ninja Gaiden, I'm not going to say like this is a bad choice if you're a huge Ninja Gaiden fan. It seems like it is a little bit of a return to what people were wanting for it, but it's probably not something I'm going to vote for. Same thing with Shinobi Art of Vengeance. I got to be honest, this does feel like this is a like again, I'm not going to say it's an absolute popularity contest, but when I just don't really hear people talking about things, there's nobody really playing it. It feels like they just kind of forced this one in, maybe due to a big like donation or something. So it is what it is. So to me, this is unfortunately probably going to come down to Battlefield 6 or Hades 2. I do believe Hades 2 deserves some recognition, But I think the thing that got dominated for the entire year was Battlefield 6. This was the thing that was on everybody's mind from like February onward, and it just is what it is. Battlefield's going to have to win some category at this point. Best VR augmented reality. I'm going to be honest. Don't know much about any of these. So if chat has any actual input, go for it. Yeah, it seems like chat wants either Alien or Deadpool. Okay, so chat's just saying Deadpool because Deadpool, but Prophet's actually giving some logic for Alien Rogue. So I feel like we're going to go with that. All VR games are horror? Yeah. I hate to break this one to you, chat, but this one has one answer, and if you don't answer this one, you are either hiding under a rock or you just are biased. And the answer here is clearly and obviously Uma Musume. Obviously. Uma Musume absolutely, like, even if FGO were here, Uma Musume would win Mobile Game of the Year. Uma was talked about the majority of the year. I do think Wuthering is up there, but yeah. Also, I did like when they announced it, they said Uma Masume, and I was like, huh? Which tells me that they don't even care about getting the pronunciation of their overseas people correct. Like, honestly, if I heard that and I was somebody that like had lobbied for my game to be in there, I would call them out on it. I'd be like, you don't even care enough to get the pronunciation right. Jinshin all over, yeah. Best debut indie game. Chat. Dispatch. Dispatch absolutely deserves more stuff here. I know, like, Blue Prince is good. I know Clair Obscur is good. I don't know what this is, and I know Mega Bonk is good. I gotta vote Dispatch. Dispatch was at least such an amazing story that I'm going with it. I know people really want Clair Obscur. Feel free to go for it if you want. And I do think Clair Obscur will win this category. But I do believe like Megabonk, Dispatch, and the Blueprints deserve a little bit of like recognition. I also still am just not sure what the difference is between best debut indie game and best independent game. Like, it feels so weird that they keep having this. Come on, dude. Clearly, I should have just waited for a later date to vote on this stuff. Unable to load nominees. Please try again later. Oh, dude, this site is such ass. Cad, stop edging on stream. I can't. Can we vote for worst voting site of the year on this page? Yeah, this is definitely up there. Any they usually do like the esports ones pre, if I remember correctly. Okay, best independent game. See, that chat. Why did Dispatch get nominated for best debut indie, but not for best independent game? Like, seriously, think about that. Why is there any difference in this category other than like a game that didn't debut? It's stupid. Absolutely stupid. I've never heard of Absalom. I've heard of Bollock's Pit. I have no real idea what it is. You're good with Hollow Knight Silk Song. Best community support. It's not going to go to Final Fantasy 14 because a lot of people are pissed at 14. It's not going to go to Fortnite because Fortnite's just on here every year, it feels like. So to me, it's between these three. And I do believe these three actually do a good job supporting their communities. But I'm also going to say that, like, most of their support is just due to the fact that in these two's cases, it's that they are live service games. In this one's case, it's because Larian actually cares. Personally, I don't actually feel like Larian should be nominated again. But I'm going to vote him. Because I want Baldur's Gate 3 to just get every award that it possibly ever can. When they didn't have to for free? Yep. They at least patched and updated the game. Best ongoing. Again, absolutely not Final Fantasy 14. I do believe this is why Yoshi P came out and said, like, hey, we're going to redesign things from the ground up. I think he's trying to garner support a little bit and also trying to bring people back to the game. I mean, you can definitely vote Fortnite if you want. Fortnite's been going on for years, but I'm not going to vote for it. So to me, it's between these three. On one hand, I'm going to say No Man's Sky upstaged Starfield. They added ships to the game and shipbuilding. However, I'm also going to not give No Man's Sky credit for that, because No Man's Sky would have never done that if Starfield didn't present the idea. So to me, they're just piggybacking off of an idea that someone else did, so no, I'm not giving it to them. So it comes down to Helldivers 2 or Marvel Rivals. I have to be honest, Marvel Rivals has made a lot of strides. They've done a lot of things, and they actually do listen to their community and try to implement things that the community wants. Helldivers 2, in the meantime, has been popping off again as they have tried to reverse course and go back to the way things have been. I think this stuff really just depends. It really comes down to, like, what type of game that you probably prefer. Like, for instance, I have friends that play Rivals. I have friends that play Helldivers 2. I myself have played both. I think both are good games. I think if we have to go with the letter of this, which is that ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time, I'm going to go with Helldivers 2. I actually feel like this is the way to do it. Games for Impact. Oh boy. I'm going to be real with you guys. I actually just despise this category. Because while I don't mind a thought-provoking game, I don't like pro-social messaging and meaning. Because this is just a DEI category. And I'm not a big DEI person. I think this sort of thing is just dumb. And while I'm going to say it's okay to make games like this, and it's okay to recognize them, I also just don't feel like any of these games are that good that they're actually worthy of recognition. I don't feel like they stand out, and I feel like most of them are instead just trying to cash in on the fact that they are a unique catering, rather than like, oh, this is something that actually deserves an award or something like that. So to me, this will be the only category that I will simply just abstain from voting in. Versus innovation and accessibility, this is actually a great category. This category absolutely should be here. Unfortunately, this category is also trash, and allow me to explain why. Recognizing software or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. What did these do? They don't really tell you. So let's click this. Oh, look. They actually imported this year. I have had this complaint going forward every single year, that they ask you to vote on these and they don't tell you a damn thing about what any of them did. So let's read. Most accessible game to date. With accessibility in mind. Make sure as many people as possible should access the core gameplay experiences. Configurable text and size. It's nothing new. High contrast mode and an optional audio cues for players with low vision, including a highly customizable audio-based FPS aiming system. Okay, that's actually intriguing. By design, the game is colorblind accessible by default, uses unique and informative audio cues, and welcome a range of players through playstyle, presets, and customization. I didn't really see detailed color customization, but maybe it was there. Because again, I played through Atomfall. As many people as possible to become a Doom Slayer. Combat and difficulty being configurable is not... I'm sorry, like, no. Enemy projectile speed, parry window, daze duration combined with assists like shield throw, seeking, auto sprint. No, dude, fuck off. I don't care what else you did. Because you included shit like that, no. You're not making the game more accessible. You're making it not a game. You're not making it so that people that have issues can play your game. You're making it so they can't play your game. You're making it so that the game plays itself for them. That's stupid. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Team embraced this on an opportunity to take accessibility to new levels. Franchise first audio described cinematics. No. Dude, that's literally closed captioning, which has been a feature in television for like 50 plus years. Powerful remapping and allowing a choice to hold press, double press for each action. Greatly upgraded subtitles, no. Emotion, tone, no. Screen narration now goes beyond menu items to cover many HUD modules and time-sensitive elements. The HUD is highly configurable, letting players toggle every element individually or through presets. Stealth and combat each have 4 separate difficulty settings, and combat can be simplified to a single input. Nope. FC26 marked a step up and forward for the genre, breaking the ground for competitive games, highly customizable gameplay, high contrast modes. All available in game modes, including competitive PvP. The unveiling of the feature was itself innovative, with the high contrast functionality being showcased within the first reveal trailer of the game. Game builds, and again, like that. What are you wanting? Brownie points? No one gives a fuck. The game builds upon the strong motor accessibility of the series. Control customization, including 1 and 2 button modes. No, I don't like this. I get that some people might need it, but that's why they have special controllers. Like, I know they're trying to make it more accessible to people, but all this is just functionally dumbing down the game and making it so that anybody can play the game on, like, the dumbest mode. Analog sprint, an extensive array of assists in shooting and passing and defending. Menu narration. Achieving a shift like this in a game that has a 1-year release cycle is no small feat. No. It is a feat. It is absolutely something that should not be the case. Stop releasing your game every damn year. You get no points, and I am dumber for having read your section. South of Midnight. Taking it further through extensive work with disabled players to identify new possibilities and set ambitious targets. Guiding strand feature provides a line of objectives configurable in length, display, time, and camera shift to path and audio beacons with volume and pitch options. Alongside the game supports informative haptic and audio cues. I'm going to be real with you. I don't feel like haptic is a solution because not everything has haptic feedback. So menu narration and menu text and HUD scaling to large size windows, increasing accessing particular blah, 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 blah. Motor disability is also extensively considered with options for faster holds, glide hold toggle, auto target lock on with adjustable sensitivity. See, I'm not a huge fan of our auto target lock on, but I do understand. There are skip features for all combat. Sorry, you lose because you put that in. No. It's going to Atomfall. Atomfall actually did some shit that made their game better and made their game more accessible for people and easier to play without destroying the gameplay. So Atomfall gets the vote here. Everything else on this list just was like, oh, we made things automatic. It's like, then why are they playing the game? They'll just watch somebody play it on YouTube. Best performance. Okay, chat, I got another bone to pick. There are not 6 nominees here. You might think there are 6 nominees here, but there are not 6 nominees here. Allow me to explain. You don't get to have 3 nominees for one game. Pick one. Maybe 2. But 3? Huh? And I like all of these people. I don't think any of them are like bad actors or anything like that. This is just bad. Nobody from Dispatch got nominated, despite having a star-studded cast as well and flawlessly delivering their stuff. This is why I say, again, it feels like there's just a cutoff and they just didn't consider things. They included games in like one category just because they didn't want to completely leave them out because they knew they would receive a lot of shit. So it's like, I'm fine with Clair Obscur getting nominations here. Nothing should be taken away from Clair Obscur other than the fact that you should not have had this many nominations. Nominate somebody else. So to me, this is actually just kind of dumb. That being said, out of all of these, let's talk about it. Honest to God, Troy Baker was indistinguishable from Indiana Jones, from Harrison Ford. He did a fantastic job. That actually deserves a little bit of credit, chat. The fact that you can play this game and you can't tell it's Troy Baker and not Harrison Ford, kind of nice. Silent Hill F, I can at least say she did a fantastic job because you really feel like she is this like young, vulnerable girl from what I've seen, okay? I'm gonna be honest with you. 1, I think this was actually a poor choice of protagonist. 2, this caused the game a shit ton of trouble. So, no, they should not have gone with her. No, I will not award her any award. And if she does somehow win, this will be the biggest upset I've seen in a hot second. So then it comes down to the 3 of these. And what is hilarious is we all know it's going to be Charlie Cox. Which is hilarious because Charlie Cox has specifically said that he basically did a minimal amount of recording for the game and has not actually played the game. Just to spite him, I'd vote for Troy. Yeah, it's fine. I don't know why it's still doing this. Charlie Cox said he didn't even know who a character was. Yep. And that's exactly why I'm going to vote for him, because I think it's funny. Let somebody win who will probably not be there to accept the reward. He's going to be like, huh? How did I win this award? Okay, best audio design. Ooh. The best in-game audio and sound design. So is this different from the musical category? Yes. Let's see. Who is nominated for best music? Chat, how good would you guys say Silk Song's music is? While we think about audio design here. Yeah, I'm talking Silk Song's music. Honestly, I don't see any reason other than maybe Silent Hill F to go with anything other than Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Battlefield 6 is poaching off of its prior. Death Stranding is also doing the same, and Ghost of Yotai is also doing the same. Silent Hill F, maybe? But I'm gonna kind of go with Claire Obscure, because to me this one just feels like it is the oh god. This one just feels like it is the actual like go-to. Battlefield generally has rather good sound. Right, and that's fine. I'm not gonna like take away from it like having good sound, just so much as I'm gonna say if you're kind of just hinging on prior work that you've done from prior games, I don't know that it matters. Okay, can we vote now? Please, Todd Howard, help me vote. We'll make it through this one day, chat. So, best score in music. I hate to say it. I'm not going to take anything away from Silk Song here, chat. But the one soundtrack that I heard everybody talk about the entire year was Claire Obscure. I don't even have to cover the other things in this category because Silk Song is the only one to me that even remotely rivals it. You can maybe say Hades 2. These other two, no, I'm sorry, they're not in the running. Best art direction. Oh boy. Death Stranding 2 is kind of just hinging upon its predecessor, and frankly speaking, I don't feel like it's super artistic. It's a Kojima game. Ghost of Yotai. If Ghost of Yotai were a better game, I would absolutely give it to it. But I'm also going to be honest and say that Ghost of Yotai is actually pretty stale with its color design compared to its predecessor. So to me, it's a step backwards. Hades 2 definitely, I think, had some controversy with its art design, though it is largely based off of its predecessor as well. Silk Song, I also think it is. I hate to say it, chat. This is another Claire Obscure. So if you guys are wondering, like, oh man, is Cad ever going to vote for Claire Obscure? Behold. Behold. This is partly why I was not awarding Claire Obscure some of the smaller categories that, frankly, it just shouldn't have been nominated for. Okay, best narrative. This is the best story in a game. It's a little bit too easy, but it's still 33, chat. It's like, I think Silent Hill F also had a unique and interesting take. Kingdom Come Deliverance also is an improvement on the first game story, and it's difficult for me not to vote for this one, but I don't think either of these two deserve to win, especially Ghost of Yotai. I think Ghost of Yotai's story is kind of ass, honestly. Best Game Direction. Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. So this one's interesting. I think a lot of people are going to say Clair Obscur. Hear me out. The big reason a lot of people would say Clair Obscur is because of its being turn-based combat while still having an active dodge and parry system. They are not the first game to do this, and they're not the only game currently doing it. So what a lot of people would attribute to, hey, this is a unique thing, is actually not. That being said, I do think the game's very well directed. I'm not giving Death Stranding to anything here. I'm definitely not giving it to Ghost of Yotai, because I actually think that's the major problem with Ghost of Yotai, is its direction. Hades 2 is an interesting idea. Because Hades 2 at least has the, like, overworld now. And then there's Split Fiction. To me, this one really comes down to Split Fiction versus Clair Obscur. Just not Clair Obscur for the reason that a lot of people would think. I actually kind of want to go with Split Fiction again here. Okay, so now we're left with Game of the Year and the most anticipated game. Let's do most anticipated game. Chat, you can vote for what you anticipate. You can say that, like, hey, this is the game that I really want. That's fine. But there is only one game that wins this category, and you all know it. It's not the game I'm most anticipating. It might not be the game that most of you guys are anticipating. But it's Grand Theft Auto. It's just, it is. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that it is Grand Theft Auto. 007 First Light, I mean, I have a passing interest in it. This could be an interesting concept, but the fact that it's by IO Interactive is almost a turnoff to me. Marvel's Wolverine looks badass, just saying. I'll be really curious, and I will watch this game, see how they develop it. Resident Evil Requiem at least looks really interesting. I'm happy to see Resident Evil return with a new game, so we'll just have to see. And The Witcher 4, I am cautiously optimistic on. I think The Witcher 4 could be great, but I'm really worried about some of the like trends already and some leaked stuff that's coming out about the game, particularly dev comments. And then we get to Game of the Year. Now, I posted about this, and I think Avalon responded to it in CAD chat on the Discord. There was one that I said in response to him, which is that I felt like one of these absolutely should not be here. And that the replacement should potentially be Arc Raiders or Dispatch. Chat, can you guys guess which of these I believe should not be here? Yep. There is a clear frontrunner in my mind. Death Stranding 2 should not be here. Hear me out. You may have played Death Stranding. you may have liked it. Death Stranding came out and vanished. I do not know anybody really that's actually played it. Even the people that I saw that did on the internet didn't really have very many positive things to say other than, quote, the game is gorgeous. It did not have the clout. It did not have the staying power. It did not have the media frenzy surrounding it. It in no way deserves to be here. I think every single one of these games otherwise had more active interest than Death Stranding 2. I think this is literally just a sign that Jeff Keighley is compromised when it comes to anything created by Hideo Kojima. I'm not going to take anything away from Kojima. I don't think this is a bad game. And I do think he changed stuff coming off the back of the first game, which I personally felt was undercooked and needed some more time in the oven. But Death Stranding 2 just, again, does not have the same impact or staying power that a lot of these other games do. In fact, most people, I'm pretty sure, had forgotten about it when they were listing their nominees for who they thought should get nominated for Game of the Year. That's not a good thing, if most of you had forgotten about it. So to me, Death Stranding 2 absolutely should not be here. Donkey Kong, I think there's a decent argument to be made that Donkey Kong would also not belong here. That being said, I do think Donkey Kong is at least a little bit of a change of pace and novel enough. And everybody that I know that's played it, again, has had a good opinion. So I can't make an argument against that. Okay? Hades 2 is an interesting one for me. Hades 2 released to decently good reviews. There was a little bit of controversy over its artistic depictions. There was a little bit of controversy over the fact that it was incomplete, which was how the first Hades was released. So Supergiant was just kind of doing the same thing that they had done before. But I think maybe people were expecting that it would be complete on release. I think maybe people were expecting that it would get its content faster. And so even though technically it released last year, it counts for this year because the actual true release date, the 1.0 release date, is this year. That's why you're seeing Hades 2 in all of this, even though it was technically from a prior year. Everything I've heard about Hades 2 is that it is a much more complete experience now, and it is better for it. I've also seen a couple of people play, and it definitely looks improved. So I'm not going to knock Hades 2 here, but it's not going to get my vote. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I do think, again, this one is at least an improvement on the original's formula. They did make the game a little bit easier to play in terms of the combat. And I would love to take some time and go back and actually spend some time with it. But it's not going to get my vote. To me, there are only 2 actual contenders on this list. I think if you include some of the others that, like I was saying before, deserved consideration, you maybe would get a third one. Let's talk about the honorable mentions for a minute here. Arc Raiders, as you guys know, this is one that I think Shroud was stumping for to be Game of the Year. And he did bring up a valid point, which was that single-player games have a little bit of an edge as opposed to multiplayer. I think there would also be some people that would argue that Battlefield 6 should be here. And I don't think that's a bad argument. I think Battlefield 6 has come out to colossal success. It has fundamentally flipped the script when it comes to their war a little bit against Call of Duty. So if you were to say, hey, Battlefield 6 should be nominated for Game of the Year, yeah, I think it would be worthy of that nomination. I could also say something like Monster Hunter Wilds maybe should be here as well. I think that's another one for consideration, that Monster Hunter Wilds just absolutely got shellacked by people over stupid reasons. I do think the optimization is the big issue with Monster Hunter Wilds. So to me, I would not vote Monster Hunter Wilds Game of the Year, even though out of all the things in this list, it's probably the thing that I've played the most. I think if we look at Arc Raiders again, like we said, Brad was talking about it. He said that it should win Game of the Year. Shroud is not the only person that I'm basing this off of. I have heard a ton of people. In fact, every single person that I know of that has played Arc Raiders has had positive stuff to say about it. Multiple people are saying this is the extraction shooter. It is the extraction shooter. I think whether or not you like extraction shooters is going to absolutely dictate whether or not you think a game like that is deserving. Okay? So at that point, I can say it is what it is. But I do think it's at least worthy of recognition, even though it is still fresh in people's mind. We'll see how it is, a month from now, and whether or not it's still hanging on. Dispatch. I think you can make a strong argument that Dispatch is not a video game. That's just the way the Telltale style games are. That being said, Dispatch is more of a game than a lot of the other Telltale ones because it actually does have a game inside of it. I think Dispatch should get a lot more attention than it does. And if I look at Twitter, it is. Dispatch is popping off, which tells me just how absurdly popular it is behind the scenes. The fact that Dispatch just kind of got blanked on this is such a travesty. Was Dispatch made by Telltale? No, Telltale is closed down. Dispatch is made by Ad Hoc. Ad Hoc is former Telltale staff that went to Ubisoft, tried to make a game, quit, formed Ad Hoc, and then made Dispatch. Which is hilarious because, again, as you guys know, all the rumors are that Ubisoft has been acquired by another company. And that's why they've halted trading. So, we'll see. But yeah, I do think Dispatch deserves a lot more recognition than the Game Awards are going to give it here. And it's so sad. This is why I say, this is ultimately a failing of the scheduling and timing of the Game Awards. I'm not going to vote Battlefield 6. To some people, it might be their Game of the Year. As somebody that isn't the strongest extraction shooter person and somebody that hasn't played Arc Raiders, I do think it's a good game. I have several friends already that are playing it now, but I'm not going to vote for it. So to me, it would be between these three. The chat, if I had to vote for Dispatch, Claire Obscure 33, or Silksong, what do you think I go with? At the end of the day, I really like Dispatch. Sorry, let me just color this in. Claire Obscure, I think, has the, how should I put it, media darling. It is the game that the media decided to latch on to and start glorifying and saying how good it was. I think Clear Obscure deserves recognition. I think it truly did a whole lot. That being said, there was no game that was talked about more this year, anticipated more, and came out to wild success and absolutely just kind of had a flawless run with no issues than Silksong. And I think Silksong is the game of the year. This one was tough. And if it wasn't Silksong, it would have been Clair Obscur. I do think both of them are really good. It broke the Steam store on launch. Yeah, and let's be honest, chat, I have not seen any other game ever do that. So, it is what it is. People bemoan the difficulty jump. I think when you're playing a Metroidvania, you understand that that sort of thing is going to be a thing. But I do think Silksong was the most anticipated game of this year. I think it absolutely popped off. And I think it really just kind of was beloved by a ton of people. Silksong doesn't look game of the year. I mean, go back 2 years and people were saying that about Baldur's Gate. So, it is what it is. Considering it until it gets out of early access, maybe. Yeah, I think it's Silksong for me. I think a lot of people are going to vote Clair Obscur. And I do anticipate that Clair Obscur is going to win Game of the Year. Again, the reason why I say it has the media darling thing, and who actually votes, chat? You? Me? The media. So my prediction is that Hollow Knight is the Game of the Year, but that Clair Obscur wins the vote and gets it. I think Clair Obscur coming actually out of nowhere and being such a masterpiece moves it above for me. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to say that that's a wrong take. But that's why I look at this and I just go it is what it is. I think again, the media knows where their bread is buttered and they're going to go over here. I do think the media will at least be split between these two. But I do think it's going to be an edge to Clair. So I think Clair Obscur wins. I think a lot of Hollow Knight Silksong people get angry. I think you see any number of other people get angry. But I'm also going to say that I actually do believe that there are people that are rightfully upset at no nomination. Because like I said, I don't believe Death Stranding 2 should be on here. I think you can maybe make an argument about Donkey Kong, maybe Hades, maybe Kingdom Come Deliverance. I don't know. I just, at the end of the day, I feel like this one's a little bit of a tough one. And it just is what it is. No nomination. Yeah, there's a couple of games out there, like I said. So Dispatch, Arc Raiders, Battlefield 6, and Monster Hunter Wilds. None of them actually got nominated, so. And I think there are people that'll be like, oh, that doesn't deserve it. Why would you even mention that? It's yeah, I look at the games that really popped off during the year, what everyone was talking about, what really drove gaming forward. That's usually what should be your game of the year. Whereas, again, if I'm basing that off of Death Stranding 2, it came and went. Nobody really cared. I think I could say the same thing a little bit for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I think at least Hades 2 and Kingdom Come Deliverance had a little bit of buzz about them and kind of continued for a bit. But, yeah, I think it's those other two just really don't stand out. I think people won't make much of a fuss so long as it's Silksong or Expedition 33. I think if it's anything other than Clair Obscur, there's going to be a lot of fuss. Chance of extra record trailer at the game show 2025, 0. I don't think Jeff Keighley knows how to speak Japanese, and I don't think, and if he does, it's only by virtue of Hideo Kojima. And I literally just don't think he interacts with that side of things. Again, like I said, chat, like when they literally announce these, they mispronounce Uma Musume as Uma Masume. When they announced Genshin, they mispronounced it Genshin. They don't care. They don't actually understand the genre, and they don't talk to people that actually play these games. They just do what they do. And that is everything that's wrong with the Game Awards and the nominees, but it is what it is. Outside of Norman Reedus, I have no interest in Death Stranding. I literally bought the first game just because of Norman Reedus. I played the first game myself. I kind of got bored with it and tried to rush through it to get to the ending, and I did. And then the ending absolutely just set me off because, one, I didn't feel like the game was actually that good, and two, the ending was a like forced 3-hour segment on a beach as you waited on credits to roll by, but you had to keep doing things in order to get to the end. And I didn't like that. I thought that was actually the singular worst ending to a video game I've ever had to be forced to experience. Yeah, like I knocked it from whatever rating I was going to give it to a 0 out of 10 purely because of the end credits. Holding your player hostage for like 3 hours just to get to the end screen is just stupid. But it is what it is. I think this sort of thing just kind of happens over time, and there's not much you can do about it. It's like the Oscars, it is what it is, and we'll watch it and be somewhat entertained. Yeah, I don't know. When is the Game Awards? It's the 11th, right? What is December 11th? A Thursday? Chat, you're lucky. You're lucky. We'll get to vote. Sorry, we'll get to watch. Yeah, don't they actually do like the player voting? Like the players vote at some point? Oh yeah, let's look at the jury, chat. Back and rules. A jury of over 100 leading media and influencer outlets across the globe. Yeah, I don't care. I don't think they should get a vote. Okay. Unable to load fat content. Boy, game journalists. I don't want to say every game journalist is bad, but I believe game journalists largely as a whole are. I think like if I had to put my number on it and like make a guess, I would say 90% plus of game journalists are just awful people. I don't think they actually care about the genre. I don't think they want like anything other than to like push some sort of clickbait narrative. And I think that's the problem. They, the jury, they're the executioner right now. Dude, this website just actually shit. I can't tell if the website's erroring out on me or it just refuses. I think it's like they haven't actually loaded any of this info. Because usually by now it wouldn't have errored out this much. Website is overloaded? Yeah. It says I can't load anything. It is the first day, so I think a lot of like content creators, myself included, are covering it. I wouldn't be surprised if someone was trying to DDoS it too. I think it's functionally getting DDoSed by people like me that are sitting here just clicking and saying like, hey, load. Rules to be announced. The rules are what we make them. Come on. Come on. You can do it. I believe in you. I know Valve was just added to the jury this year. Were they? That's wild. If Valve was not part of it prior to now. Granted, I think I saw something where like they listed all the Game of the Year award winners over the past like 20 years, and it is always either Nintendo or Sony PlayStation exclusives that win. It has never once been Microsoft, which is funny, but I don't think Gaben would have to rush the stage. I think he would just crash his yacht into it. Hiya! Which yacht? Yeah, the new super yacht that he's built. You know, I would laugh though if there was like a giveaway for like the Gabe Cube during like one of the commercial breaks. That would actually make me laugh. With 15 gaming PCs, right? Yeah, I legitimately I don't even think this is like a site error. I don't think there's any voting jury. If I was Gabe, I'd name it my yacht, the Half-Life 3. Let's see if I can like cheat the website. Gabe walks onto the stage. Hi, I'm Gabe Newell. Yep. Oh. Maybe I should have just scrolled down. Easy Allies. Never heard of them. Entertainment Weekly. Okay. Esquire. I'm sure they have a video gaming function, but no. Game Informer. Sure. Gamer Rant. Sure. Gamer Ranks. Sure. Gamer Tag Radio. Never heard of them. Games Beat. I feel like I've heard of them. Games Spot. Sure. Giant Bomb. Sure. IGN. Inverse. I've never heard of Inverse. Jeff Gerstmann Show. Kind of funny. Minmax, I've never heard of. I get that like NPR has someone meant to cover like video games. That does not make them an expert. It's just whoever the fuck NPR could hire. Or whoever the fuck they could assign to that genre. PC Gamer, sure. Polygon, as much as I hate it, sure. Pride.com. Like, same thing, Rolling Stone. Like, no, I'm sorry. The Atlantic, Variety. Huh? I didn't realize Dexerto was UK based, but that's interesting. Edge, Eurogamer, Games Radar, Gaming Bible, Metro, PC Games In, Pocket Gamer, Pocket Tactics, Tech Radar. Hold on, chat. Let me replace the charge here. The Mirror, The Times. Damn, I guess the New York Times was already taken, so they just took the Times. Okay. I assume they're older anyways. Wait, is my... My headset on? Okay, there we go. VG247 VGC. Honestly, VGC's been one of the better ones for like covering gaming news lately. Like some of these are actual legitimate sources. The others are just not. Argentina? I mean, like, I'm gonna say like around the world should be represented to some degree, but I don't know why specifically Argentina gets to. That's kind of odd and arbitrary. Australia, press start, screen hub, skill up. I mean, skill up I've definitely heard of. Devivor, Belgium. I'm sorry, Benelux? Where? A politico-economic union. Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. Just say that. Like, because you literally have Belgium on its own here. But, oh no, we gotta be special. Brazil. I mean, like, Brazil, I get. Brazil is actually, like, a major country with a lot of, like, gamers. Okay? So I do get them having representation. Canada. Screen Rant? What? Chile. China. Okay, China makes sense with like how certain things went in the prior year. Colombia, Croatia, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece. Dude, that's what I got to do. I got to just move to an obscure country and become like that country's de facto like video game cover. Hungary, India, Indonesia, Italia, Japan. Yeah. If there are two countries that I could say are the birthplace of video games, it would be Japan and the United States. Why does Japan have less representation than Brazil? Canada? Half of Europe? Like, that actually explains a whole lot. No wonder they're not, like, getting represented well. They only have 4 outlets. Sorry, 5, but move to Benelux. Yeah, Benelux had 3. Malaysia has 3. Mexico has 7. Nominations in all esports categories are determined by a jury of global media outlets. Yeah? You suck. Because also a jury of global media outlets. Really? I didn't realize Luis Santana was a global media outlet unto himself. A specialist jury of accessibility experts. I mean, that's fine, but like, how do you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 16, 17 judges to decide 5 nominees in a, sorry, I think it was it 5 or was it 4? However many. In a category that most people are just not even paying attention to or even knowing why they were nominated. And that's it. Yeah, I mean, I'll just be honest. This does not inspire any form of confidence. I do get that, like, they have to tap outlets and that, like, they do a job of trying to, like, get a diverse group of people. I'm fine with that to a degree, but also, like, this is part of the problem. It doesn't feel like they're allowing certain people in. It's kind of like the cool kids club where they just go like, okay, yeah, no, like if you don't bend over backwards for Jeff Keighley, you just don't get invited to this list. And if you piss off Jeff Keighley, you also don't get to vote. And if you do anything, you're not going to be invited back on the next year. So it's just bad. I don't think this is being run very well. And they're trying to like justify it with all this stuff, but I feel like at the end of the day, it just is just bad, man. So a click, yeah. It does feel like that's been what's been going on. And to a degree, I also think that's why I think it's why Microsoft hasn't won. I think media-wise, people are just as a whole down on Microsoft. I think they don't like it, and they don't want to give Microsoft any credit. It's maybe the first time I've heard NPR be considered part of the Cool Kids Club. Well, it's really interesting because NPR has been government funded for a long time. So they have like de facto access to like everything. I didn't even know Destiny had a mobile game, yet, let alone it being nominated for something. Yeah, any major Destiny fans out there? Like, is that like a big thing, the Destiny mobile game? I mean, Microsoft has been releasing nothing but flops lately, if I remember correctly. You're not wrong to an extent. Microsoft just has not tried to develop their first-party IPs, and they have not allowed studios to flourish. I think that's been the biggest issue that Microsoft has had going forward, is that they have largely killed off a lot of their best producing studios. And I think the ultimate fallacy that they now have is that the Game Pass is going to be successful for them. I think they are trying to pigeonhole everything into the Game Pass to try and get everything to kind of come into their ecosystem and work well. And I think it's a pyramid scheme. It just does not work. What is NPR? NPR is, I believe, National Public Radio is what it's stated to. NPR in the past is a very useful thing back when people actually listened to radio a whole lot more. And it does have some like meritocracy in that regard, but it has become a little bit of a like governmental mouthpiece for a while, and not even governmental. I think it's become politically charged, and I think that is not a good thing to have. I know that's why like some people want to defund it, other people want to cut it loose and just say like, hey, do your own thing. Best thing that could happen for the show, IMO, Uma Musume wins Mobile Award and Gold Ship drop kicks Jeff. I mean, honestly, I don't mind Uma Musume winning. I feel like Uma Musume deserves recognition for popping off as much as it did. especially because, like I said, I've heard that it's slowing down a little bit on the JP side of things. But I think it's good that it at least has like overtaken things and kind of upset the balance over here in the States and at least like globally, because I do think there was a lot of like consideration for basically like the MiHoYo side of things just dominating everything. And I think it's a good and healthy thing for there to be competition and not for like one company to dominate the entire industry. So a little bit, I like the fact that Uma Musume has been kind of more popular than anything that they've done in recent stuff, just because I think the industry needs that. An organization in the US, no wonder why I didn't know it. It's all good. Can't use Game Pass, play Ghost of Tsushima? No, because it's PlayStation exclusive. From the NPR podcast lineup, it feels very biased. It probably is. Like I said, like I think that's been the problem, is the people that have been running NPR have politicized it, and it's not a good thing. Whereas like it was originally supposed to be apolitical and not something that kind of worked that way. Though to be fair, that's also the way media is supposed to be, and yet media has not been. Media is supposed to be impartial and only report the facts and let you decide. Media has been anything other than that. I mean, even if we look at game journalism is not impartial in the slightest. Said funding was minuscule to NPR's budget despite claims, so it had no real impact. Yeah. As the success of the first one, can you really call it independent anymore? I think so. I think regardless of prior success, we're at a point where being independent has risks. Those risks should be lauded if they succeed. And I want to say that because I think independent studios should be applauded for not taking the bait and not just constantly like feeding into the beast that is Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, or like Actibliz or EA. Like it's like they didn't just become yet another gobbled up studio, essentially. Game has improved pretty much everything. Yeah, I've heard good things about UA. I do think like in the next year or two here, we're going to get some more competition in the realm of things for the like open world style of like mobile game. And I think that's good. I think that's good for the industry. I'm sure plenty of people are going to be like, oh, this is so annoying. Like it's just another ripoff. It's another clone. And I'm like, a little bit, it needs it, because when you have one like studio that's just dominating and has most of the like revenue capability, I think it just results in stagnation, and it results in the industry not moving forward and people just getting milked. And I do think, looking at the gacha industry overall, it's changed from when I first started playing FGO quite significantly. And I think that's good. I think the industry is beginning to age itself a little bit, and that's actually to the consumer's benefit. Because as the industry grows older and more flush with competition, it becomes harder for a game to stand out, and it has to compete more for your money. And as it has to compete more for your money, it has to pay attention more to what you want rather than just trying to milk you. I don't want one mobile game to take up all the space on my phone. Yeah, that too is a little bit of a problem. Though, to be fair, this is why I've said a lot of these games are just not mobile games. They are anything but. Been a hot second since I heard this. But yeah, I think like as a whole, watching it's kind of like if you watch the MMO genre evolve, MMOs have fallen out of favor because they take a shit ton of money to develop. But largely it was a good thing that MMOs did evolve because it made them actually have to bend over backwards to try to cater to the whims of the consumer rather than just everybody and their brother milking you for a subscription, right? So you've seen a lot more like free to play style MMOs. You've seen a lot more MMOs with more customization options, more capability, and I think it's good. I think you'll see the exact same thing with gacha games. You're going to see them start trying to really up the bar to entice people to play their game rather than another game. Girls Sweat Line 2 is over 30 gigabytes. That's insane. Yeah, it's like stuff like that shouldn't be that big. And they should find a way to like chunk load it or something. But I think they want games to be playable mobile because that's the way the like Oriental markets work. They know that there's a little bit more of a desire to have like a game that people can play on the go. And I don't begrudge them that, but I do think that a lot of these games cannot reliably be played on the go, or they are wholly worse if they are played mobily. Phones are getting better and better. They are, but you shouldn't have to buy a supercomputer for a phone just to be able to play a game on it. But I do think you're going to see that in the future. You're going to see I think like if you look at say like the GameCube, right? You're going to start to see technology like that become smaller and smaller. Where it's like, hey, this is an acceptable performance. I was wrong. It's 25 gigabytes. It's still good. I mean, I'm pretty sure FGO itself is like 12 gigs now. Or is it even higher, chat? I'll be honest, I haven't looked in a hot second because I cleared all the stuff off my phone, so my phone's had way more space. If you downloaded all the data, it's pretty big. Yeah. FGO is 7.67. Is that with everything loaded, though, or without? Also, wait, did they reuse this in the later Pokemon games? Because it says from Sword and Shield, and I never played Sword and Shield. But I definitely have heard this in a game. For me, it's 10.01. I think it's like 12 gigs for the full thing. 18 gigs in your phone currently. Okay, maybe it is bigger. So it may just depend. But yeah, I mean, like, honestly, like 7 gigs if you haven't loaded everything is not bad. Like, it's still a lot, but it's like, that's not the end of the world. That's not like destroying your stuff. Apparently, you can play Once Human on your phone, and it requires at least 55 gigabytes of space, if not 70 gigabytes for the maximum. Which is like, that's kind of insane, not gonna lie. That's a joke, right? No. This question was asked 5 months ago on Android Gaming. Ugh. 20.89 on my iPad with everything? Interesting. I mean, that may be because it's the iPad specifically, but I couldn't tell you. Yeah, usually the biggest thing is like voice files. So, wait, hold on. So it may be things like the Valentine's voice lines and stuff may be really, 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 really big. So it's like depending on whether or not you've downloaded asset files before or after they started adding a bunch of those. Like the if you guys remember, they started doing like all the male Cs are voiced. Well, the faster loading speeds isn't a big concern. Honestly, yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like as long as you have a decent phone, you don't need to download everything. You're gonna need to download everything if you have an older phone or you have bad internet connection. I understand they unlocked every interlude in JP. Did that include Angry Mango? Or do you still need Bond 10 for that one? It probably would be that it's available, but that you need Bond 10 in order to do it. Like you can see it, but you can't do it unless you fulfill the requirement. But honest to God, John, I don't know because I've already done it on both servers. One of my FGOs is 21.9, the other is 16.2. How does this number keep getting bigger, guys? Like, what are you doing? I'll have to double check though, because I think I have Girls Frontline 2 on my phone. Which, if that's the case, because I'm not playing it anymore, I can definitely get rid of it. During the crash front, yeah. Wait, what? I was just curious as to what Jay and Katana were talking about. So it's just like, wait, those are several of the games I play. Big numbers, maybe we need FGO inflation to find out why it keeps increasing. I mean, it's obvious as to why it keeps increasing, right? But Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't see, without them doing a PC client, I don't see how you could do an FGO2. Like, I don't see how you could like fundamentally like change up things because of file size issues at this point. Like, they run the risk of like, let's say they just wanted to like update the graphics of the game, not make it like 3D or anything like that. Just update the graphics. Every single like file gets bigger. So that kind of could cause a problem for people. Eventually, there'll be a PC client. I've said before, like, the game could actually use one. I've seen also people that are like, why? Why would you need one? It's like, that just, why not? Right? I think they need to kind of do away with the transfer stuff. Like, give us actual accounts. Give us a PC client so that we can seamlessly play from any device and not have to transfer back and forth. And that would be amazing. Like, I actually truly believe that. And it's just like, oh, maybe you can't play on the same device at the same time in two different places. That's fine. Who cares? Like, the big problem would be like having to actually transfer to play on multiple devices. Which, by the way, chat, you can already do if you know how to clone your phone. So at the end of the day, I have to look at that and go like, okay, that's kind of dumb. Like, there's clearly the capability to do so, but they just don't want to allow it. Avalon Tech? I mean, I assume Avalon learned it from me at this point. I don't know. I've been doing it for years, though. Like, chat. These are my prior two phones. And FGO is on both of them. PC client is an additional market. It's the real reason for doing it. Yep. I mean, it's the entire reason I think that you try to do it is because there are plenty of people that play on emulator that you're just not tapping into. People that you could give an official way to play it so that they didn't have to go through third-party channels and run risks that way. So it's like, you don't have to download an APK, you just get it direct to the emulator that you're playing it on instead. And it's like, yeah, I can see a lot of benefit to that. Plus, you keep them in ecosystem, you don't have to worry about them like losing their shit. I think there's a whole lot of upside to it. The downside is, yes, you have to develop a PC client. That being said, it's Unity. I can't imagine it's that hard, but I mean, then wasn't it like PGR that took like forever to get their PC client out? Like, I know they were like testing it and like talking with the community about it, but like it felt like it took them a long time from when they initially announced it. Already logged in and everything? Right. One in each hand, Pog. Like a virtual machine, pretty much. When you get a new phone, they just clone your old one. Yep. Most phones nowadays have the capability to do it. All Unity part we need is repacking for x86, not ARM CPUs. I mean, I gotta imagine the modern Unity stuff doesn't actually need that, but maybe. Wait, do I have to do the exact same upgrade on both? Okay. No. I didn't realize I had to do it for both Liz's, but I guess that makes sense. At least you also, like, you get the reward for clearing each one of these, but you also get the milestone progress. So this is like double whammy effectiveness for gaining quartz. Plus it's 0 AP, so it is infinite efficiency quartz. Because this costs you nothing to do, it's just time. My last phone bricked, and the one before that was an LG chocolate. I can see why it bricked. You ate it, didn't you? You ate the brick of chocolate. No. Audience groans. At least the audience is there. If it gets the audience to react and type stuff, it's worth. That's all I can really hope for. And why are we listening to spooky, scary skeletons again? It's not October. It's almost turkey season. Oh, I could have just done those. I didn't have to do an NP. Oh, chat. Bob made Frodrick. Frodrick the toilet paper dispenser. Depending on how incomplete your roster is, the amount of courts on offer here is insane. Well, especially considering they've been offering you like 100 banners. It's nice that they're actually giving you a little bit of extra courts influx to do something about it. Curse you, Bale. At some point, I'm going to go back and do another Elden Ring playthrough. I want to take another stab at the DLC, but I think I kind of need to research what hasn't been nerfed and what's been buffed, because the DLC unfortunately makes me not want to play something that's like not overpowered. And that sucks because it's going to make the rest of the game a little bit of a cakewalk, but the DLC is so like punishing that you want something that actually can get through it. 100 banners, what's with that? It's because they're rerunning all of the Lancer banners, all of the extra banners, and now there's all the archers as well. Because they basically just did a bunch of Grand Duel and Grand Duel rerun stuff. So it's like everybody from the class is on rate up. Which, to be fair, they've been doing all year, but we haven't seen them like all dogpile like this. Oh, the extra and Lancer is over? Good. Maybe now I can make heads or tails of it. I'm really sad we couldn't make the archery build work better, though. I'm also sad they nerfed the bow that we were using for that build. It was so good. You Bale. Riddle with hose. Okay, chat. I'm going to go ahead and end things here for tonight. Tomorrow night, we'll be back again with more stuff. I am going to send us... I'm going to send us a way that I haven't sent people in a while. I'm going to send you guys over to Rico Nobbin. I believe Rico used to play FGO. And they are streaming some Final Fantasy. Let's go give them some love. Like I said, chat, I'll be back tomorrow. Stay tuned. I know I've got like announcements coming and some stuff I'm working on, but I got nothing else for right now. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end. Rico, my love. Later.